All right, folks, welcome to beautiful Monmouth Junction here in Middlesex County. Give yourselves a round of applause here today. Appreciate that. And we appreciate you joining us here for election 2026 as U.S. Senate candidate. Republican candidate Justin Murphy is touring the state with town halls all across our garden state, as they say. And the great thing about Justin is to be hitting all 21 counties within the next few weeks, as he has a showdown with the incumbent senior senator. I know that sounds crazy to say. You know him, right? Spartacus, right? The performative drama queen, Cory Booker. And so once again, my name is Fernandy Reeve. I'm the host of Real Talk with Fernandy Reeve via Jersey First TV. We really appreciate the support of Jersey First TV, as we are really the leader in independent media here in New Jersey. And you can check out my show on Monday nights, live every Monday. We have great guests, great conversations. And certainly, if you like watching good opinion journalism, you'll enjoy it on Mondays. All right? And again, please put your phones on vibrate. We appreciate that. And certainly, again, it takes a few seconds just to share our town hall today. We'll be doing other town halls in the next coming weeks. We'll be in Camden County, we'll be in Burlington County, and we'll be moving all across the state for Justin Murphy, as he will be touring New Jersey to share his vision of what a senator in Washington should be doing, instead of performative politics, which is what we've gotten with Cory Booker for far too long. And I can't say it enough, it really takes everyone to get involved during this race. As we all know, Democrats outnumber Republicans in New Jersey with a registration advantage. It's not like it used to be. It used to be like over 1 million. We've gotten that number down. But the key thing is to get independents enthusiastic. And what has Cory Booker done for, I don't know how many years now, right? It's Trump derangement syndrome. Like, has he even introduced a bill? Like, can someone name a bill he's even introduced? Like, not renaming a post office after something like that, that's not actual work. I know Cory Booker thinks it's work, but, or being up there and bloviating for, over 30 hours with a diaper, that's great, but that doesn't solve anything. We're looking to make some change in New Jersey, and it starts with Justin Murphy, our candidate, our Republican candidate here. Let's give a round of applause for Justin Murphy, the Republican candidate here in the United States Senate. And just a little bit of history here before we start our Pledge of Allegiance, and we have some other housekeeping things to take care of, but real quick, I did want to share this with you. And the last time that New Jersey elected a Republican to the United States Senate, I wasn't even born yet. This was 1972. I'm going to tell you what New Jersey was like in 1972, folks. A gallon of gas in New Jersey in 1972 was 37 cents. Okay? Buying a home in New Jersey in 1972. Now, I grew up in Hudson County, and I live in Union City, New Jersey. I look at Manhattan every single day. But if you grew up in an urban part of New Jersey, buying a home would cost you $20,000. You believe that? All right. Now, if you wanted to live in the suburbs in New Jersey in 1972 and buy a house, it would cost you roughly $32,000. Is that crazy? The minimum wage in New Jersey was $1.50. Wow, that's how far back we're going. As a matter of fact, back in 1972, guess who won the Super Bowl in 1972? You don't know? I do. My Dallas Cowboys. That's how far back we're going, right? I know, the first of 5 Super Bowl champions, I know. As they beat Miami 24-3. But you know what else happened in 1972, folks? Oh, there you go, okay, very nice. You know what else happened in 1972, which I think really resonates here? In November of 1972, in that month, the 1972-73 NBA season began in November of that year. Anybody want to take a guess who won the NBA championship to start? The New York Knicks. And by the way, folks, who won the NBA championship this year? My New York Knicks. It's New York or nowhere. Folks, we have a chance to make history here. Just like the Knicks did, we can help Justin Murphy make history here tonight. So I'm here proud to moderate tonight's town hall. First, I do want to get some housekeeping in order. So, yes, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first. So you don't rise if you can. And I'll lead us here on the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now, we have some housekeeping things here to take care of, and I'll pass off the mic here to this lovely young lady right here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have something special for somebody very special. Cindy Glenthon, the immediate past president of the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. This is Claire Gustafson, our vice president, new. And if Tanya Coberta would come up. So this came from, all the way from Orlando, Florida, at our biennial in September of 2025. And I thought I'd see Tanya for Christmas, didn't. Thought I'd see her a couple of times after that. So I decided Saturday, we had our convention, hoping to give it to her then, but then Laura Trump was 30 minutes late, so everything was cut. But we're here now to thank her. This is called the Diamond Award. Because of the hard work, dedication, and loyalty. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's a nice one, right? We don't get along. Get the button. We don't get along.
Thank you.
Congratulations once again. Nice job, ladies. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, some housekeeping things in order. Once again, please keep your phones on vibrate. And as I mentioned before, right before we went live on Jersey First here for tonight's town hall, guys, real quick here, just please put your phones on vibrate. On your social media platforms, we really appreciate it. It takes 5 seconds to like, comment, and share tonight's town hall here featuring Republican U.S. Senate candidate Justin Murphy. Now, we're going to let Justin begin the festivities with his opening statement, and then what I'll be doing is, if you're interested in asking the question of the candidate, please raise your hand, and I will go around to you, and you'll be able to ask a question of our candidate. So, if you have questions to ask, start thinking about it, and once we begin the Q&A here with our candidate during tonight's town hall, I'll be walking around. So, guys, questions, right? You have questions for the candidate, right? I hope so. All right, so Justin, take it away.
Thank you, Fernando. How's everyone? Just be very brief and then we'll get started. I'm honored and privileged to be the Republican Party's nominee for United States Senate. And as Fernando mentioned, last time we sent a Republican to serve in the U.S. Senate from New Jersey was 1972. That's a long time ago. So thank you for taking the time to come out tonight. The civic engagement is what we need. And as Fernando mentioned, I am planning on holding at least one town hall in every New Jersey county. Okay, because while my opponent has announced publicly he'll be campaigning across the country, Murphy for Senate will be campaigning across New Jersey. Okay, and there's a nice distinction there because I think my opponent is taking this race for granted. Many people are, and that's a mistake. So we're going right directly to people. And I see many of you here tonight I've met for the first time. That is a wonderful thing. It's wonderful to see. And I welcome you as friends to our campaign, and I look forward to your questions. But we are going right directly to the people with our message. Okay, we're coming from the ground up, and we're going to shock the world this November. So let's get started.
Yes.
All right, folks, just a little bit of an intro here, and just to give you an idea about what to expect during this election season. And obviously, if you're a Democrat in New Jersey, you have to be feeling kind of good right now, right? Well, you shouldn't be. There's a lot of disenchantment right now going on in Washington and also here in New Jersey. Because the reality is that for as much as Democrats want to run on a platform of affordability, we all know that they can't. Whether it's here in New Jersey or on a national level, what have Democrats been known for? They've been known high taxes, irresponsible spending, coddling illegals, pronoun nonsense. Folks, that's not what New Jersey's about. As one of our original 13 colonies, what did we just celebrate last weekend? We celebrated 250 years as a republic. And we celebrated freedom. We celebrated just knowing that we don't have to live with tyranny. Guys, real quick here, guys, appreciate it, yeah. So if you can, think about some questions tonight here, because there's a lot to talk about during this election cycle. Here in New Jersey, Democrats have gotten way too comfortable with trying to drive the narrative and the conversations when they don't win on ideas. They weaponize identity, they weaponize everything you can think of, from race to gender. There's only two genders, by the way, just in case anyone failed biology. I know I didn't. Memorial High School, Western New Jersey, by the way. Yes, but the reality is that Democrats underestimate candidates like Justin Murphy, and they're doing so at their own peril, just like they're underestimating House candidates. Now, Republicans have to get energized. 2 years ago, when President Trump was reelected with an overwhelming mandate on a variety of issues, closing the border, affordability, stopping the identity pronoun nonsense from the woke crowd. What we learned in New Jersey is, again, the 45th president came within really almost 4.5 points of flipping New Jersey. And for anyone that isn't a student of history, like I'm a student of history, we all know the last Republican to win New Jersey during the presidential cycle was George H.W. Bush in 1988. That's how far back we're going. The Democrats think they've monopolized the conversation and the narrative. That's not true. And Democrats like Cory Booker exemplify the weaponization of identity, race, and other narratives that, quite frankly, don't win nationally. They win here in New Jersey, unfortunately. But what we have to do as Republicans, conservatives, and even independents, it's about convincing the vote blue no matter who crowd, because we all know who they are, right? We have some here in Middlesex County. We have the other 20 counties in New Jersey. It's about convincing New Jerseyans that there's a better alternative in Washington. What better way to send a message to Washington and the US Senate than to send someone who has served our country, who has served in government, who understands not just executive experience, but legislative experience. And that's what we get with Justin Murphy. So it's not just about coming here today, and we appreciate you coming out here on a Friday when you don't have to be. It's nice weather, you can be down the shore, you can be barbecuing, you can be doing a plethora of different things. But you're here because you care about New Jersey. You're here because you care about a candidate that cares about you. Cory Booker is too busy campaigning in New Hampshire and Iowa. Gee, I wonder why. And he's spending millions of dollars and very likely won't get a single delegate to vote for him. Yet, obviously, he didn't learn his lesson 6 years ago. He's going to learn a painful lesson in the future. But even before that, we have to send a message to him that there are better candidates out there to serve in Washington. It starts with Justin Murphy. As I mentioned at the start of the program, the establishment media here will tell you otherwise. That everything wrong in your life is about Donald Trump. Okay? When you go to the supermarket, you get the wrong change at the cashier, you know what? It's Trump's fault. Okay? When you go to the car wash, and guess what? They just didn't lubricate your tires. You know whose fault it is? It's Donald Trump. Seriously. When you go to the dry cleaner, and they just didn't give you that right amount of starch in your shirt, you know whose fault it is? Donald Trump. That's the level, folks, I'm not even trying to be funny. That's the level of derangement syndrome that we see here, not just in the national media, but here in New Jersey media. We have plenty of guilty parties in the establishment media. I'm not going to name the journalists. I don't want to shame them. I shame them enough on my show. But it's important to send a message to look at Justin as a candidate that you can believe in. Again, a guy that came from very humble beginnings, serving his country, serving his community. But he wants to serve the state of New Jersey in the United States Senate. Let's send a message in November. Let's motivate independents. Let's inform them about what's going on. Just show them Cory Booker's record, okay? It's about as empty as, I don't know, maybe, I'm just trying to think here, like the New York Mets trophy case. Sorry, Fred. But that's how empty Cory Booker is. Let's show him and Democrats and independents as well, because we have to win them over, folks. There's no way around it. We have to win them over and make sure we tell them that Justin Murphy is a candidate you can believe in. And he's serious when he said he's about going all around the state. So now, at this time, what I'd like to do, any questions for the candidates, please raise your hand. I'll go and each one at a time. If you have a question for the candidate, please, now's your time. Any questions?
We'll get everybody.
Okay, all right. Let's go over here. Okay. What's your name, sir? And what's your question for the candidate? What's your name?
Mike Angola.
Mike, okay. My question is, in a
purple state, how well are you going to be campaigning in the blue areas?
Great question.
Okay, yeah, this question comes up often, and what we're faced with is, again, we haven't won since 1972. We're outnumbered by 840,000 registered Democrats in the state, and you know we've got some tough areas to penetrate. But specifically to the urban areas, okay, we all remember Rich DeBoer, right? Rich was one of my opponents in the primary. We developed a very nice friendship throughout the primary. We got along very well, even though we were opponents. It can be done. See that? It can be done. And I talked to Rich about having him as not just a visible component of my campaign, but for the party, our Republican Party more broadly in New Jersey, to have him spearhead as a surrogate in a very visible way to go into these urban areas for these non-traditionally voting blocks, non-traditionally Republican voting blocks, to go directly to them on top of what we're doing here, and then all of the conventional things you follow up with in any campaign. So we do have a plan in place to reach directly into these neighborhoods that generally don't see or hear from Republican candidates. It's a priority, I can tell you that. I've spoken with them. We're going to put things in place. We're doing it now. And that's one way we're going to get not just the content of our message that we feel is much better for all communities in New Jersey, but we do have a plan to reach into them. And Rich DeBoer, I'm very flattered and privileged to have him on board for the party, not just my campaign. He's going to stay visible. He should run for office again, and he could be a good candidate. And he had that very strong message. Okay, was that he can go into these urban areas. He has experience doing it, getting our message into these neighborhoods, and that's who's going to lead that charge along with us.
All right, good stuff. Let's get a question here in the front here. And sir, what's your name? What town are you from?
Name is Carlos Martins. I'm from Jackson, New Jersey, Washington County. I was at the town hall yesterday.
Yes, he was.
So you're probably starting to notice my intent is to follow you around these 20 minutes and learn
All
about
right, a groupie.
and learn about the town. So I'd like to follow up on my question from yesterday, and which was, what did you learn from the campaign? Right. I am a Richard supporter before I saw the debate. The debate that we had, that the Republican Party had, is when I first heard your name and saw you, and I was very impressed.
Thank you.
So what I learned from that campaign is that debates are important. They are important, and it gets you out there to a multiple number of people. Now, we have an issue with Cory Booker because he doesn't want to have a debate. Either because right. So either because he's afraid or he's got bigger things he thinks to do. So here's my question to you. Is it possible to have something like, Cory Booker AI debate with Phil Murphy? That's just the concept, right? But the idea is, right,
That would be funny.
We're gonna have some
it would be
fun,
funny if you get a lot of people engaged, right? But even if we don't go there, debating his things that he said in the past, his concepts of what the policies should be, right? Which I don't know if he has any, but something like that, because his name is, whether we like it or not, everybody knows his name and will get attention. So that was my recommendation to you. That was my famous idea that I came up with yesterday.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
And thank you for coming last night. You did join us last night. Last night was our first town hall in Mercer County, and this is our second, and we're going to every county in the state, and probably be doing more than one in many counties. And this is water, it's not wine. Okay, what did I learn in this campaign? Many things. I've been involved in New Jersey politics since 1988, after I spent 4 years in the U.S. Navy, so I have to go with that Go Navy flag up there. I understand you have some Navy veterans here tonight, yes? Okay, a few, very good, very good. And tin can sailors, even better. So what did I learn? I learned running around the state of New Jersey, okay, with an old 4G flip phone, no campaign manager, and as little as $15,000. The power of the message. That's what I learned. Always reinforce that if we're going to inspire people to vote for us, inspire the undeclareds to come out, lower the rate of apathy, get a higher turnout, we need ideas and a vision and a backbone to fight for it. And I'm a Reagan Republican. I am a pro-life Reagan Republican. I will be one until God pulls me off this planet. So I learned having a message was powerful, that connects with people, they could resonate with our ideas. I put it in my Senate pledge, it's on my website. I have one copy left over there somewhere, if you want to take it home, it's the last one. We're making many more copies. But I come up with the Senate pledge to put down my political blueprint and political DNA in writing, and I sign it, and I give it to the voters. Here in New Jersey, this is what I stand for, what I believe in. Not everybody wants to hear a conservative message, but they're going to hear it from me. And they're going to hear it passionately and confidently, enthusiastically and energetically, because until we do that as a party, until we're willing to fight for what we believe in, we will not inspire people to vote for us.
Right.
We cannot campaign on 30-second TikTok ads saying how bad Cory Booker is, or coming up with a cool nickname for him, or saying Phil Murphy was a horrible governor. And by the way, I'm Justin Murphy. I am not related to Phil Murphy. I have to say that. We need more. We need to be the optimistic Reagan message. And that's what I bring. And I realized how strong it was. Because I don't know, other than the prayers I said, a lot of them, we got across the finish line with it. So I learned that the powerful conservative messages and principles, even in New Jersey, will resonate with voters. And that's what we need to do. We will do that.
All right, well said there. All right, well, we'll get to every single question here, so let's go to the back here. This gentleman here.
Yes, we'll get to all.
What's your name, where are you from, and which question can
I'm John Siseki, and I'm from South Brunswick here. What are the top three issues that you are going to campaign on, besides the conservative principles, that you think will swing Democratic voters?
Thank you.
John, thank you for the question. Okay, number one, affordability. Can't get away from that one. It's affordability. And it's ironic because a lot of the affordability issues in New Jersey are not caused by President Donald Trump in the White House. It's by the Trenton Democrats in our Trenton State House for the last 25 straight years uninterrupted. That's why we have affordability issues in New Jersey. So there's going to be a slick game of messaging here about who gets the blame. So we need to be on offense and sharply define ourselves, which we will be doing. Affordability. This is easy. Joe Biden gave us a 9% interest rate. I'm sorry, 9% inflation rate, which is a 40-year high inflation rate of 9%. He gave us an 8% interest rate, crushing the home ownership dreams of young American families. He gave us an open border. He gave us suppressed energy production. He gave you declining wages on top of all of that. He gave you a gallon of gasoline in June of 2022 that was over $5 a gallon. And the entire time, we didn't hear from Cory Booker. We didn't hear from Cory Booker, so this November he needs to hear from all of us, and he will. It's affordability. It's an issue that the Republicans are winning. It's our issue. We've taken that 40-year high 9% inflation rate, and we've dropped it to between 2 and 4%. We've increased our energy production. Now we have rising wages for the middle class, not the declining wages we had under Joe Biden with a very silent Cory Booker. We secure our border because we value legal immigration and we value citizenship in this country. And our opponents sadly do not. That interest rate has fallen from 8% to 6%, making home ownership more attainable to more American families. Our cost of a gallon of gasoline, we know it was $5 under Joe Biden. It's now under $4 and falling under Donald Trump. So the affordability issue is our issue. And we're going to make sure that we define it on our terms with the facts and with the administration. We have to do this. I know some people get up. All midterm elections are a report card on the existing and current administration. So we are not going to let our opponents define us on any issue, whether it be social, cultural, or economic. So that, and we talk about the civil rights issues of our time, parental rights. No parent, well, few parents, most parents do not like what's happening to our public education system. Parental rights are a Republican issue. We're on the right side of that issue and the right side of history. So we're the party, okay, that's bringing the economic relief and opportunity that people want. Parental rights and medical freedom and civil rights issues of our time. We're also the party of rule of law. Okay, we have a 125-year low murder rate in this country. Now, DC is not considered a safe city. We're deporting millions of illegal aliens, and the worst of the worst of the worst criminals are being rounded up and shipped out of this country at record level rates. Those are the things we run on to resonate with people and connect with the middle class. They like the rising wages they have now, not the declining ones under Joe Biden, but we've got to make sure we win this battle of messaging and communication. So those are the three things we're really going to take hard to people. Not to mention the distinction between myself and my opponent, and more broadly what the Democrat Party has become, an off-the-rails train wreck. I know many good Democrats. I have friends that are Democrats. They don't recognize their party. There are hemorrhaging voters by the millions across the country. That's not an exaggeration, that's an established fact. And they should be hemorrhaging voters. They're no longer the party of FDR or JFK or the World War II Union Collar Depression era Democrat. They're no longer that party. They're now the party of illegal aliens, the party of an open border, the party of the Green New Deal and suppressed energy production and a war on parental rights. Okay, that's not the vision for the country. We have the better vision to offer America, and we just need to be on offense to do it. That's how we connect with the voter, and that's how we resonate with them.
All right, well said there. More questions for the candidate, please. If you have a question, all right, we go around, and we'll be able to get to every question possible. Okay. What is your name, where you're from, and what question do you have for the candidate?
I'm Shannon Spillane, Jamesburg, New Jersey. Now, my question is, when you get elected to the Senate, who do you want to meet very first time and become besties with?
Good question, then. Very nice.
Who do I want to meet? No. Well, yeah, I guess I just want to dress like him. I want to run around the state campaign in sweats, but I can't do that. Who would I want to meet? Oh.
And be besties with.
And I would, Bethany Joy Lenz. I'd like that Hollywood movie star to come out and see me. So, I mean, as far as Washington, yeah. You know, it's funny you say that because I really have a mindset right now, my disposition, well, for President Trump, to answer your question, who I met in 1996, I'll tell you that story later. But President Trump, which I think we'll be able to do, and hopefully even before that. But I'm not going to Washington to make friends. Okay, that's I'm going to Washington to help clean it up and make sure that what we're doing right continues, and that we need to change, we can effectuate a substantive change. So I would say the President of the United States and besties, yeah, I guess we would get along fine. I was a young Republican in Burlington County in 1996. And I was a county coordinator for Bob Dole and Jack Kemp for that year, presidential race. I met Bob Dole. Donald Trump then threw a party for Bob Dole down at the Old Atlantic City Convention Center. It was a hot day in the summertime, and I drove down there, had my wool suit on, and it was just hot. And I was the vice president of the Young Republicans of Burlington County, and my friend Kim Turcott was the president. And just through milling around the room, and Bob Dole was saying hello and speaking and taking pictures, I look over and I'm standing next to a very tall Donald Trump. And I said, Kim, take a picture. She said, why do you want a picture? I said, well, you never know, he might be president someday. So I turned to him, I said, now this is the time that Donald Trump was standing with his hands behind his back. He would not shake anyone's hand, he was a little germophobic. I said, Mr. Trump, how about a photo? He said, go for it. So I tucked in, we got a good picture, and stepped right back out. So that was the time I had met President Trump. I had the privilege of meeting Laura Trump a couple weeks ago on Saturday with the Republican women. She's a wonderful woman. And that was a great event. And so, but that's basically what I would do. I wouldn't want to go there to become part of a political class that I'm campaigning very hard against. Okay, our political class is dysfunctional. It is distant from us, we the people. It is corrupt. My opponent is part of it. And I don't, I would not fit in to the political elites in Washington. So that is, again, I would go there strictly as business. We'll meet the president and be friends with him.
Very, very nice.
That is the right answer.
Just as a reminder for everybody at home watching live here on Jersey First TV, please like, comment, and share tonight's town hall here in beautiful Middlesex County in the municipality of Monmouth Junction. I want to thank everyone coming out here tonight. Once again, my name is Fernando Uribe, your host and moderator this evening for the town hall for Republican U.S. Senate candidate Justin Murphy. And actually, before we get to your questions, I actually have a question for the candidate myself. And just to sort of piggyback on the great question she just asked, I think it's fair to say that being friends with the president of the Senate, Vice President J.D. Vance, is going to be equally important. I would argue, right? Justin, what would you say is going to be maybe within your, let's say, your first 100 days in the Senate, what type of bills would you be interested in introducing? Obviously, we know that, you're an attorney as well. Certainly, you have a law background. We'll see if the president has any vacancies to fill. I mean, those 3 liberal judges, it'd be nice if they retired sometime soon. But in any event, what do you look for coming up if the president does have a vacancy in the Supreme Court, hopefully, and he gets to fill it for the remainder of his term? What's the type of judge that you believe in? Again, being an attorney, seems like you're more of a constructionist when it comes to the Constitution. What would you look for in a candidate that's appointed ultimately, if you are the U.S. Senator here in New Jersey, that you would want sitting on the highest court of the land?
Thank you. And as an attorney, I love that question. Also, as an attorney, when I tell people I practice law, I'm complaining about it, not bragging. So when we do that, I authored a book in 2021 on judicial activism. Okay, and I titled the book "The Silent Crisis," because not enough people know about this. The Silent Crisis: How Judicial Activism Denigrates America's Constitutional Republic. Judicial activism is an existential threat to the structure of our republic. You can't convince me different. Okay, it is a huge issue. And one of the things that I worry about most as a candidate is, yes, I worry about our border, Democrats winning and the socialists. I worry about Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Okay, when the time comes, they're both in the late 70s. When the time comes, if they need to be replaced at some point, I hope that we have a majority in the Senate and a Republican president. Because if we lose those 2 seats, we instantly flip the Supreme Court to a 5-4 liberal. Look out. I mean, I don't even want to think about it, but everything we hold dear in our Bill of Rights and Constitution, parental rights, gun rights, free speech, religious freedom, privacy, will be on the chopping block. Okay, they just don't think like the rest of us. Okay, so that really keeps me up at night. We want to make sure those gentlemen stay healthy, but I would also like to know that when it's time for them to go, if they've come to their decision themselves to step down, I hope they take into consideration that everything they've done to build over their judicial careers could be undone very quickly if we don't have and keep those 2 seats. So we can take a court right now that's 6-3 right-leaning with some issues. We'll get to that later. But if we can put younger conservative justices on the court when the time is right, we will have solidified the court, okay, for the next couple decades, and that will make me sleep a lot better at night. So what type of judge or justice would I look for? Number one, either an originalist or a textualist. Someone like Antonin Scalia is good, okay, and someone like Clarence Thomas, someone like Justice Samuel Alito, who's a New Jersey boy, right? He's from around here somewhere. I know he's close by in Mercer County. Yeah. I would, that's my mold. That's the way I think. Our Constitution, I think, is the greatest document in the history of human civilization, and it is not a living document, despite what the left tells you. It's not a living document. It says what it says, and it means what it says, and says what it means. And we just need justices that understand that. And it does terrify me, some opinions I hear of throughout the news of what some judges do. They completely disregard the language of a statute or the language of our Constitution. That throws our judicial branch out of whack. Okay, and we're designed to be a representative government, a constitutional republic with 3 equal but separate branches of government. And judicial activism is a grave threat to that. So we would look for an originalist as a method of constitutional interpretation, someone that uses and applies originalism or textualism, and certainly if they believe that it's a malleable document that you can whimsically change by whoever's sitting on the bench, would never get my support. I think I want to hang out with Marco Rubio a little bit, so he looks pretty cool. He looks like a good guy. And if I had a choice, this came up the other night for now, if I had a choice, I would like to see Ted Cruz on our Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So he's young enough to be there for the next 30 years. The other seat, I think we have a good deep bench. And I said this the other night, Donald Trump, as President of the United States, has done more to impact the judicial branch of our government and judiciary, the federal judiciary, than any president I recall in the history of our country. He has appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, okay, and he may have another opportunity to do that. And he has appointed a number of district court and appellate circuit judges where he has literally changed the ideological complexion of the 9th Circuit and I think the 3rd Circuit, okay, which is a wonderful thing if you're a conservative. So elections matter. Controlling the U.S. Senate matters. Who's sitting in the Oval Office really matters. So it's a huge issue. As an attorney authoring the book, it's something I would run down hard. What would I do when I get to Washington? Look for like-minded caucuses that would want to promote a new system of taxation, okay? A new system of taxation. Making sure we nominate good judges to the bench, okay? Keeping our borders secure, economic growth, parental rights, secure border, energy production. There's caucuses in there. Again, a lot of give and take there. But that's generally what I would be doing when we get started.
All right, good stuff, Justin. I like the Marco Rubio plug, being that I'm Cuban. I'd like to see the 48th president.
It could be.
Who knows? We have a question here. Sir, what's your name, where you're from, and what's your question?
Harold Kane from Monroe. Justin, is the president doing the right thing in Iran?
Yes,
Thank you for the question.
yes, he is.
He's asking why.
Why? Okay, I do believe he is. As a young boy, I remember I was in 8th grade and freshman year in high school in 1979, and I remember the wall of our embassy in Tehran being overrun and scaled by what was radical Islamic terrorists, kind of the opening salvo of the war of radical Islamic terrorism on the United States. And folks, ever since that day of November of 79, I think it was November 4th, 1979, but it was November 1979, every day, okay, the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is the IRGC, not the Iranian people, but the people that took control and overran our embassy, they have done nothing but attack America, real-time, kinetically, and verbally. They have exported nothing but war, terror, murder, assassination, rape, violence, lawlessness, and they've destabilized the Middle East for decades, okay? They are not well. President Trump has said this. They're not well. Not the Iranian people, who are our friends.
Right.
It's the IRGC right now that's probably running the country, the Islamic Republican or Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They believe that there has to be a cataclysmic event that they bring in and usher in to usher in the 12th Imam to run. These people are nuts. Okay, this is long overdue. There's not a news cycle I haven't watched since November of 1979 where Iran hasn't done something to take a shot at Israel or the United States or the West or civilization. Look, they're in the Middle East. They're coming across our border. They're working with Venezuela prior to when Mr. Maduro was removed. They did nothing but export terror to this world. They were a cancer on human existence. And I feel bad for the Iranian people that have had their lives taken from them and their dreams taken from them and robbed of a decent life that they can pursue. We're in the midst of making some changes there now. The final chapter has not been written, but we should have done this a long time ago. I trust President Trump's judgment on where they were as far as the threat that they presented to not just the United States but to the world. They're very active on our soil. They're very active coming across our open border. They were very active in our hemisphere. It's what they do. They promote and export terror with different proxies. Okay, we know the problem with the nuclear weapon. You can't think possibly that this country should obtain a nuclear weapon because, in my opinion, if they ever obtained one, they would use it. And not a conventional weapon, but maybe even a dirty bomb. I don't trust the open border that Joe Biden gave us for 4 years. Okay, I do not trust. God only knows what has come across there. 25,000 young Chinese men. Well, can't you come in legally? I mean, why would you come in clandestinely? We have millions of gotaways, where millions of people came across our border, were visually ID'd by our Border Patrol, and then literally got away. We don't know who they are, where they came from, what they were doing, where they went. Okay, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. There was testimony given to a House committee within the past 3 to 4 or 5 months, and it was reported by some intel agencies that they believe at least 18,000 known terrorists have entered our country through Joe Biden's open border. Okay, so in fact, we've got a secure border now. Okay, but what we have to do, okay, is we've got to search inside our country now to find out who these people are, where they went, and what they're doing. And this is quite a game. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. We have to be right every single time. And God knows what they're planning. And certainly right now, to me, it's a heightened security concern. So yes, Harold, I do believe it's the right thing to do. If we want peace and stability in that part of the world, and we all do, okay, that government has to be removed and replaced. They are not partners in peace. They do not mean us well. They slaughter their own people by the tens of thousands, and they don't bat an eye over it. They've killed many Americans. They've conducted more terror attacks against us, either directly or through their proxies, a number of times since November 1979. And that I've always feel bad for the young Iranians that have had their lives taken from them. But the Iranian people are ready to stand up and take this back and end this. But if we need stability and peace long term, and we're not going to get it with the IRGC or the way things currently have been working in Iran. So we do have to do what we're doing. I believe it ends well. I believe it's a bumpy road. It always is, but this will end well, in my opinion, for not just Western civilization, but for that region of the world which needs peace and stability.
Great question there. Sir, what's your name, where you're from, and question to the candidate?
My name is Roger from Junction right here. I've heard many times, don't ask a politician more than one question at a time, otherwise they pick and choose which one they will get. But so far, everybody does a good job at keeping to one question. But I have multiple questions, so if you can pick and choose, hopefully you answer all of them. First one is, now it's hotly debated, Save America Act, 80% of the country, 90% of Republicans, conservatives support it, but yet Senate GOP is not going for it. I mean, doesn't matter. The will of the people, right? What are you going to do about it if and when you go to the Senate? And secondly, New Jersey is a self-proclaimed sanctuary state, and many cities, sanctuary cities. What can we do about the sanctuary city? I mean, that to me, I'm a Chinese immigrant here. You talked about coming through across the border from many different countries, including my countrymen, right? Now, you provide them sanctuary. What's up? I mean, it's a sedition to me. So that's those two for now. And thank you.
All right, thank you. Justin.
Thank you, and thank you for coming tonight, sir. Save Act, I support. That's an easy one. I support it thoroughly. If I was in the Senate, serving as a senator, I would have co-sponsored that bill because there's nothing but common sense to determine that people who register to vote are American citizens, because only American citizens should be voting in American elections. And there's nothing wrong with asking for a photo ID to vote. Photo ID to vote. I support that. As far as where we're stuck with it right now, we had the issue of four Republican senators that had backed out of their support. It was Susan Collins, it was Tom Tillis, Mitch McConnell, and Lisa Murkowski. I don't know how he's doing, but I think he is. So we had those four senators, and I believe one of them, yeah, I think, yeah, we had four Republican senators that were dragging here and preventing the bill. Now, yeah. So I think one of them has decided to jump on board and support it, from what I understand in some recent news reports. That's good. And yes, I would like to see Senator Thune deal with the filibuster that would be the tool to stop this. I think the SAVE Act gets passed. I do. I'm optimistic. I think it will be passed. I think we'll get it done. But, you know, John Thune about, oh, he's this, is that. He's a yes vote. It's Tom Tillis, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell were the four no votes. That's what was hurting us. Okay, but I think we got one of them back now. I don't know the situation with Mitch McConnell. It seems very precarious right now with the health concerns. But I think the SAVE Act gets passed. I do think we get that done across the finish line. I know the president is pushing hard for it. He's providing the leadership for it. And I bet you he's working some backroom deals to get that done. As far as sanctuary cities, this again is a question that came up last night. I know it's on the minds of many voters. I think it's abhorrent and reprehensible that any elected official, let alone the governor of the state, would go so far out of their way to impede the enforcement of federal immigration law. Okay, in New Jersey, not only did they do that, but they had to codify sanctuary status, and they passed a law saying we're a sanctuary. This is madness and insanity. It attracts criminals. Okay, it impedes the federal enforcement of law enforcement, our immigration system. Okay, I believe there should be a financial punishment from Washington, because we give out enough aid, right? And Washington can put strings on aid, it's been held to be constitutional. We should be doing that to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. There should be a financial penalty for it. Sanctuary city, your property taxes skyrocket, and they found about $7 billion in the most recent New Jersey budget for illegal aliens. Okay, I just don't think that way, folks. I just don't think that way. We get a shot at them next year, state senate, state assembly in 2027. But as far as what I would do, I would be a loud voice of vociferously advocating for financial punishment to states that declare sanctuary states. It's dangerous. I just read another heartbreaking story. A 6-year-old girl in Pitt County, North Carolina, 6 years old, was killed when a 3-time deported illegal alien was speeding in whatever vehicle he was driving. Shouldn't have had a driver's license, but he got one from somewhere. 3-time deported illegal alien. High speed, high rate of speed. He slammed into the vehicle and killed a 6-year-old girl. And that's not the only time that has happened. You can scour our news and find that it's happened dozens of times. Okay, sanctuary status for a county, a city, or a state should be made illegal, and there should be some pretty stiff penalties for it financially from the federal government, which I would support.
All right, excellent. We have a lot of questions here. We'll get to everybody here. Ladies, ma'am, you got your hand up? Yes, stand up here. Sure. Your name, where you're from, and the question for candidate Murphy.
Thanks. Joanne Kajunas from Monroe Township. Proud to be from Monroe Township. And I have kind of a dull question, but New Jersey is bleeding big industry. We lost Exxon. We lost Budweiser, of all things. And so I wanted to ask you what, if anything, you think you could do from your Senate seat to help New Jersey save us from these destructive Democrat policies that are driving industry out. And part 2 to that, President Trump is doing everything that he can to build industry up. It's so great to see manufacturing coming back to the states, to the United States where it should be, and oil production coming back to the states. So are you going to point that out in your campaign? Because I think it's a really important thing, especially for independent voters, those unaffiliated voters that stay home because they don't believe that anything can be done to help the state.
All right, good question. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, economic growth is a priority of my campaign. Bullet point number 1 of my Senate pledge is to get rid of that 70,000-page Internal Revenue Code, have a flat tax, and spark a whole lot of economic growth from that. I am very much a supply sider. I have preached till I'm blue in the face back to when I was studying in law school. The computer chip, okay, has demanded of jurisdictions, of governments, okay? It has changed the relationship between government and citizens and labor and business, okay? And when you have confiscatory rates of taxation and reckless regulatory schematics and policies and trial lawyers running around suing everybody and politicians vilifying a productive middle class, a productive worker, okay? Small business owners and large corporations, they vilify them. You know what they do? They leave. Yes, we lost Budweiser, we lost Samsung, we lost Exxon. How many people have left this state? So it is imperative that we elect people that understand governments today should be looking at business and citizens as customers to be sought and retained, not vilified, not, page out of Karl Marx's playbook is create the class envy and wage war on someone verbally, and that's what they do. They don't understand. Unfortunately, in New Jersey, we can't really change our system of taxation here, our regulatory climate and our business climate until we change who's in Trenton. And we get a shot at that next year with the state senate and state assembly up. We have the wrong governor in office. She's not interested in that, believe me. Now, we shut down our power production. We shut down 6 or 7 power production plants, and we never replaced that power. So now we have to import it from out of state, which increases the cost drastically. So it's more expensive to do business here in New Jersey. Yet we have the wrong people sitting in office in Trenton. As far as what I can do from Washington, I do everything what President Trump is doing. Let's simplify our tax code. Okay, let's have regulatory reform.
Yes.
Let's make sure we have pro-growth economic policies because that provides our middle class economic security and economic opportunity and our social upward mobility for our working poor. That is how we do this. The best home ownership policy is gainful employment, low interest rates. Okay. Now I can go to Washington and support all of this and all these wonderful things. And if a company comes back to our country that left or comes back or one starts up here, unfortunately, are they coming here?
No.
We've got to win at the state level. That's the real solution. We have to win because look what happens with states run by Republican governors and Republican legislatures. They perform much better economically. Okay, states somehow get by without an income tax or without a sales tax. We here in New Jersey, we got an income tax, we got a property tax, we got a sales tax, we got high gas taxes. When does it end? When does it end? So who wins elections matters. And I'm a very pro-business Reagan Republican. I've been small business and self-employed all my life. I know what a recession looks like. They're not fun, but I also know that government is not going to be able to micromanage everyone's life. You can't tax your way to prosperity. It's never going to happen. It's the private sector, and it's one reason with competition through our industries and it should be in our education system also. The marvel the most dynamic, successful economy known to utilization. We did it with the private sector, entrepreneurship, and free enterprise and economic freedom. That's what we promote. That's what we promote because that's the message to our young people. Donald Trump is now over $19 trillion are going to be pouring into our country for investment. You know what that tells our young people? That the Republican Party is worried about the next generation of Americans, not the next election. So economics, again, this is an issue where we win. We win. So let's be on offense. Let's be energetic about conveying this. I mean, a small business today is not just mom and pop on the store, country corner store. Small business today is most of our manufacturing. And we're seeing a resurgence for that. Wages are increasing for our middle class. We have investment coming in. We have a productivity boom in our country. We have increased energy production. So these are the type of mindsets we need to elect because it matters who's passing laws and making decisions in this country. So thank you for your question.
Nice job, Justin. Justin, we have a candidate asking a candidate a question. The distinguished John O'Sullivan, South Brunswick mayoral candidate here with a question.
Thank you. I would like to know, what is your opinion on the massive data centers that are being built here in New Jersey? And I'm bringing it up because it's a problem here. One's being built in Kingston, South Brunswick, New Jersey. And it's a major concern of the citizens of South Brunswick. So I'd like to know your opinion on the massive data centers being built all over New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck with your race. We want to win up and down the state and up and down the state. We'd like
Great
to
question.
We hopefully will man Mr. Mayor someday. And our other candidates, absolutely. Data centers, yeah, sore point for everybody. No one likes these things, right? What I would like to see, and I'm from the Pinelands. I grew up on a dirt road. Okay, I live in the Pinelands since 1976. Woods, Jersey Shore. I showed up to 8th grade in 1979. And I walked into class, it was right around Thanksgiving. This is in Tabernacle Township. Grew up on a dirt road, town with no police force, no post office. And I go into class, it's 8th grade, 1979. I looked around, I'm the only guy in class. And I said, Debbie, I said, where? Well, I'm the only boy here. She goes, oh, it's deer season. You get a week off, excused absence if you want. So that's how I grew up. Not with that. I was upset to put a high school in my hometown, knocked over a farm to do it. I think with that is strategically put one of these things in. I think that's utterly ridiculous. We need to number, I think Denmark or Holland, the ones that they build, underground. You don't have to look at them. They put them underground. And heat generated, they can recapture that and use it as an energy source. So I would recommend way underground where possible. And then on a dilapidated brownfield in the city, we shouldn't have dilapidated brownfields. If we have to redevelop something and put a data center somewhere, it should not be out here in the country or knocking over a farm or a bunch of trees. We have plenty of open space that is a dilapidated brownfield that needs to be refurbished. Okay, and where we can, I put the thing underground, and maybe even on a military installation somewhere. They're probably safer there. So there's been a push here with low-income housing is another problem, okay? Not that we want people to be unhoused, we don't, okay? But the problem there is housing policy is different than home ownership policy. Okay, we get more into that later. But with the data centers, wherever they go, they should be underground, okay? And they probably need to be by a water source. They could probably be by a nuclear power plant because they need about as much water as a nuclear power plant. There's no reason to put them somewhere where that becomes an issue with water tables and localities. You can strategically and intelligently do things if you have the right people making the decisions, if you do. So I do not support the loss of open space for these things. It's in my blood to grow up in the pinelands and farms, and I don't like it. It bothers me. So, but there's plenty of rebuilding and refurbishing we can do to our cities. We shouldn't have dilapidated brownfield. Look at Detroit. I mean, as sad as that is, that can be refurbished and built, and that's probably the place to look for these things. Cities that have these areas that need to be redeveloped. So that is what I would do to preserve the open space. I think it will give us a much better balance and make it much more palatable to people.
Thank you. All right, folks, once again, we are here in beautiful Middlesex County for our town hall here. Once again, we'll get to our questions in just a minute here. Once again, big round of applause for the Republican candidate for the Middlesex Senate, Justin Murphy. To everybody watching at home, once again, folks, I am Fernand Ruby, the host and moderator tonight here for the town hall. It takes 5 seconds to like, comment, and share, and show your support for fearless independent media with Jersey First and Jersey First TV. We'll continue taking questions, and after the next question, we'll take a brief 5-minute intermission, get to stand up and stretch, maybe use the restroom. How's that sound for everybody? Good? Quick 5-minute intermission? Okay, let's go to the back here. We'll have one more question, and then we'll have an intermission real quick, and then we'll continue on, okay? So we have a question here in the back. Got the young lady here with a question here. What's your name, where you're from, and what question for Justin?
My name is Kathy Abadansky. I'm from South Brunswick. And Justin, I just want to know a little bit about you. Politicians get into politics because they want to serve, right? So, and then something happens along the way. I know you got into politics a couple of years ago when you were running, all right? I know you've been in on a local level. But for you, I admire anyone that puts their hat in the ring and decides to run. I mean, it takes a lot of time and, whatever. What was the defining moment for you when all of a sudden you said, I want to run for U.S. Senate. I know I can do this. What was that? What was that moment? Can you tell us?
Great question, great question.
Well, I know I can do this because I always said Ted Kennedy did this job, so I know I can do it if he can do it. But watch the news and think, they do that? I think I can give it a good shot too. Kathy, as I said earlier, I've been involved in New Jersey politics since 1988. And I have been blessed and very fortunate, okay, from a very young age, I've always had instilled in me by my Creator a dream and passion and vision of what I wanted to do with my life. And I never really sat down one day and said, I don't know what I want to do next with my life. I always knew what I wanted to do. And I've had this dream and passion to love the country, hopelessly in love with this great country of ours. I want to serve it. I think I can be a good senator. Like I said, I've always had the direction, like I knew when I get out of high school, I should join the military. Okay, so that's going to help a political career. I should serve the country. I should be deputy mayor of my hometown, go to college, go to law school, author a book, continue my education, be active politically, and do all these things to build a resume to present to you, and then you pass judgment and decide, well, this guy he makes the grade or he doesn't. So I've always done everything to promote this moment in my life. It's very cool to be here and to have this opportunity that I know most 8 billion people that live on this planet don't have and never will have. So it's really humbling. I've always had the benefit of knowing what I wanted to do with my life. Like, in high school, I graduated Shawnee High School in 1983. And my mother would always say, barely. High school was a fun day for me, okay? And I realized I have to do something in my life. So at age 17, I joined the Navy, and I spent 4 years there, honorably discharged, came home, started college, law school, started a number of small businesses. I've been self-employed all my life, politically active, deputy mayor of my hometown. I just feel fortunate that even though the road is difficult, it's not very easy. I've always had the direction in my life that I knew what I wanted to do. And again, it's just, I asked God to guide me through this and through everything else in my life. And raise your hand if you're surprised I won the primary. See, the power of prayer works, folks. So it's just an honor to be an American. It's one of the most blessed gifts of my life. And I always say America is the most blessed gift that God gave our world.
Yes.
And it's an honor to be here to stand for you, to ask for your support, to make me a U.S. Senator. And I really, again, going to Washington, not to make friends, okay, but I always try to be very humble. And some people say I'm too soft-spoken, but all right, I can yell sometimes if you want. I try to be humble with this. It's an honor and privilege to be an American and have this opportunity. And it's very cherished, and I thank all of you who take this walk with me. It's a wonderful experience, so thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:15. There's a lot of us, so let's stretch our legs a little bit, you can use the restroom. Let's take a quick 15-minute break. Everybody go to the restroom, get some refreshments here, allow the candidates to hydrate a little bit here, and we'll continue in 15 minutes at 7:30, so we appreciate it. Thank you. Yep.
My mom was a candidate. I was gonna go with her. A lot of that credit goes to operations. I actually I work in it. Small world.
all like-minded people that are here and have such fun, and we well, no, when she is
I use it all the time. My parents want to go out.
That's a great exactly. Listen, see that.
Attention everybody, real quick here. It's my understanding there's a Mini Cooper in the parking lot blocking a vehicle. This young lady needs to leave. So anyone driving a Mini Cooper, attention folks, anyone driving a Mini Cooper somewhere? Who's driving a Mini Cooper? Who? I heard someone. Tonya, is Tonya driving? Okay, yes, okay, awesome, thank you.
My name is Mark. Yeah, that's right. Oh, there you go. You're right. Inside of it. No. It's not a left-wing town. No. My dealings over the years is personal. Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right, guys, it's 7:25. We have 5 more minutes here for our intermission. So if you haven't gone to the restroom, please go to the restroom and start taking your seats as we'll continue with tonight's town hall. Thank you. And also, folks, as a reminder, real quick, guys, I know it's intermission. Real quick, folks, can I just have your attention, please, real quick? Folks, again, real quick attention. If you're looking to donate to Justin Murphy's candidacy, there's a QR code at the front desk there. You can also donate online on jerseyjustinforsenate.com. Did I say that correctly? Okay. .org, I'm sorry. jerseyjustinforsenate.org. If you're looking to donate, you can do so. And there's a QR code right in the front, folks. If you're looking to donate, please donate today to our Senate candidate here tonight, Justin Murphy. Once again, you also visit jerseyjustinforsenate.org. Thank you. And we'll get started in 5 more minutes. So if you have to use the restroom, and get some refreshments. We'll resume our town hall in 5 minutes. Folks, if you're also looking to donate now, if you have any disposable cash here, you can donate there by the front to donate to Mr. Murphy's candidacy. Thank you.
I'll personally apply for it. I was trying to get tickets for the so that I waited too long. I know it.
All right, folks, please take your seats. We're resuming our town hall here. And once again, for everybody watching at home, don't forget, like, comment, and share tonight's town hall here in beautiful Middlesex County. I'm Ferdinand, the host of Real Talk, New Jersey First TV. Like, comment, and share, ladies and gentlemen, helps the brand grow and show your support for fearless, independent journalism, courtesy of Jersey First TV. We'll resume in just a moment. Everybody, please take your seats as we're about to resume our town hall here in just a moment. If you have any questions, I'll get to you. I know I did see some hands before. We'll get to some questions in just a moment. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to donate to Justin's campaign, there's a QR code right in the front, and also you can donate online by going to JerseyJustinForSenate.org. If anyone has a white Hyundai, if you just move your car, I appreciate. Okay, there you go. All right, that was easy. Everybody, please take your seats. Again, we'll resume in just a moment here. I know we do have some questions outstanding, so don't forget. And I can't state enough, if you're looking to donate to this wonderful campaign, please do so. JerseyJustinForSenate.org. Once again, JerseyJustinForSenate.org. All right, a white minivan. Anyone have a white minivan? White minivan SUV? Anybody? White minivan? Somebody has to have it. White minivan SUV somewhere? Anybody? White minivan SUV? Okay, someone has to have it. A white minivan SUV. Does anybody have that? Somebody has to have it here. White minivan SUV. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, please take your seats here. And once again, welcome to beautiful Middlesex County here tonight for the second half of this evening's town hall featuring Republican U.S. Senate candidate Justin Murphy. Big round of applause for Justin, folks. Once again, my name is Fernando Uribe. I'm the host and executive producer of Real Talk, which you can catch live every Monday night via Jersey First TV. Of course, make sure you follow us on X, Twitter, also on YouTube, Facebook, and also on LinkedIn. It takes 5 seconds, folks, on your smartphones to like, comment, and share tonight's town hall and all of our great content every single week, whether it's Real Talk on Mondays or Bridging the Gap on Thursdays. It's great content, and Jersey First continues to be the leader in independent media here in New Jersey. We appreciate your support online. Again, just takes a few seconds to help the brand grow and show your support for fearless, independent journalism. That's what we bring you with Jersey First TV. So again, round of applause for Justin, our Republican U.S. Senate candidate. Let's continue with some questions here. I know the gentleman in the back here had a question, so let me get here to the back, and I'll get to everybody else. What's your name, sir? Where are you from, and what's your question for the candidate?
My name is William Buchanan. I'm from here, South Brunswick, and my question is something on the minds of a lot of people. Socialism, or worse, where Democrats are moving in that direction. What will you be able to say to Cory Booker about this issue?
Thank you. Great question, sir. Great question.
Thank you, William. Yeah, it should be on the minds of all Americans, okay, because the Democrat Party has been taken over by socialists. It's not a fringe element and a remote voice, it's who they're nominating. It's what they now believe in, and if you don't, you're not welcome in that party anymore, which is one reason, as I mentioned earlier, millions of people have left the Democrat Party, providing us an opportunity to inspire them to vote for us. Communism, socialism, contemporary liberalism, it's all the same thing. It's a cancer on human existence. That's the way I look at it. It is demonic. It has robbed more people of a chance for a decent life, material comfort, the opportunity to pursue a dream, live in a peaceful, prosperous society. My heart breaks for people that have, like all the people that were trapped behind the Iron Curtain. It just, my heart breaks for all the people who have had their lives violated by this demonic ideology that is nothing more than a cancer on human existence. I just mentioned to someone, you ask a young person today why the Berlin Wall fell, and they'll probably say because they used the wrong concrete mix. I don't know. They have no idea what the Berlin Wall is, what it represented, and how much of a profound moment in human civilization and human development when America won the Cold War. Remember what the Cold War was? Cold War was there's a battle of ideas. We in the West said no, led by the U.S., we're going to be free, we're going to be democratic, have representative government, free markets, entrepreneurship. And those behind the Berlin Wall, unfortunately, in the Iron Curtain, living under communism, that said, no, you don't need to own anything. The government will give you what you need. Thank you, but we'll pass on that. So one of these, this just a profound moment in American history and world history when we won the Cold War and the Berlin Wall fell. And when that Berlin Wall fell, that was just a monumental, not just American moment, but a moment for humankind. It really was. Now, unfortunately, winning the Cold War on the international stage, we have to now do it again on our domestic stage because somehow we've allowed communism to take root and hold in too many of our academic institutions, too many of our young people, too much social media. And it's a part of our culture war, folks. We have to fight it and win it again. Okay, not all of our young people are buying into this spell, which is good, but some are. But some are. It's, like I said, ask a young person why the Berlin Wall fell, and they can't converse on it because they haven't been taught about it. They don't know what it is. They're not even sure what you're talking about. Okay, when I was in the Navy, I enlisted at age 17. It was 1983. Ronald Reagan was our commander-in-chief, when the Cold War was coming to an end in a few years that no one knew would be ending soon. And as I sailed around the world, I worked a little bit with intelligence, but mainly I was a radar operator on a destroyer. And I always felt bad for my counterpart in the Soviet Union. I was a 17-year-old kid. I lived in a damn cool country, and I knew it. I had a Trans Am. I could go down, I went to the beach. I could go to the shore. I knew when I got out of the Navy, I had a $1 trillion economy and freedom waiting for me, where I could go bartend down the Jersey Shore, which I did, and had a lot of fun. I had a Trans Am. I had a wave runner. A great community, and I'm thinking of my 17-year-old counterpart in the Soviet Union didn't have that opportunity. This is why I feel bad that, life is so precious and short. Okay, to have your dreams and opportunities taken from you in the name of some demonic ideology, I think it's a crime against humanity. I can't say enough that how much I despise and detest communism. I hate it. I rarely use that word.
All right, well done. We have another question here. Sir, where you're from, what's your name? Oh, I'm sorry, wait, your name, where you're from, and your question to the candidate.
Oh, wait, not him, no.
Mike Haverdansky from South Brunswick. Just to, everybody who's seeing Justin for the first time, now you know. The more we get this guy out in front of everybody, the better we'll all be. My question goes back to fiscal responsibility, right? So when President Trump came into office, one of his major platforms was fiscal responsibility. We have to get the deficit under control. Deficit's a major problem. It's part of the reason for the high interest rates. We're going off the cliff. I really like President Trump's plan for it, where most other people just, all right, well, raise taxes and cut spending. Where Donald Trump's plan was drive the economy, raise more income, get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, and make everyone who is able pitch in. We seem to have kind of lost that focus. How do you intend to sort of bring that focus back?
Great question there.
Michael, thank you, and thank you and Kathy for all you do for our campaign and what you do civically. I know you're engaged with the Republican Party here, so thank you for all of that. Again, I'm a Reagan guy. I'm a pro-economic growth, supply sider, and it's extremely important because all issues start with what? What do people, voters say? Affordability, it's the economy, stupid, right? Right. We have to understand a couple of things as we lay out policy positions. Number one, there's a distinct difference between the national debt and our annual deficits. And people confuse the two. They hear debt deficit, 5 trillion, 100 trillion. Just to better focus this, the federal government today, okay, takes out of our productive private sector economy. We send the federal government every year $5 trillion with a T, $5 trillion in revenue to the federal government every single year. Stop and think about how much money that is. 5 trillion is a lot in 1 year. We send it to them every year, okay? The federal government spends every dime of it, and then they borrow money to cover additional spending. That money they borrow annually is our deficit. Okay, it's been coming down under Trump a little bit, but we should find the accelerator on that. There's a lot of things we can do. We'll get to that. But that's our annual deficit. If you look at all the annual deficits that we've run in over the years, that gives us that huge national debt number, which is now 39 trillion. So how do you do this? Okay, you said it. We have to grow out of this. Some people disagree with that as a matter of economic theory and principle. No, it's not possible. I can tell you it's not possible. You can't tax people enough. You can't cut spending by $39 trillion. We have one way out of this mess. It's strong, sustained economic growth, which is going to come from a vigorous and aggressive energy policy and energy production. The trillions of dollars of wealth in our country is through the energy sector and energy industry. That is how we're going to do this. And along the way, we're energy independent and we're gainfully employing our middle class. Republican Party can now boast it's the party of the middle class rising wages. Energy has a lot to do with that. Okay, we're exporting more oil now and producing more oil now than any other country. And we do that because we have the resources, the technology, and the skilled labor force to do it. So how do we get these massive numbers under control? First thing, stop running annual deficits. Once you do that, you'll stop adding to the national debt. Okay, so we stop running annual deficits. Well, how do you do that? Grow your economy. Not at 1% and 2%, 3, 4, and 5, with commensurate productivity, and you will not have inflation. You have high rates of productivity, you will not have inflation. The Federal Reserve gets all upset. We can't grow too much or grow too fast because we're going to have inflation. No, we won't. Inflation's textbook definition is too many dollars chasing too few goods. If you increase your productivity, you won't have that problem. Okay, you won't have that problem. So when we stop running annual deficits by bringing into equilibrium revenues and expenses, and by the way, folks, I think $5 trillion should be enough to balance the books. If we can't do it on $5 trillion, maybe we need new legislators. I'll go, if you want to send me. When that happens, then we can do what we look at the $39 trillion national debt, okay, and we'll begin to pay that down. What people do ask, Mike, well, why haven't we crashed yet? At 39 trillion, why haven't we crashed? Because our household worth in this country is probably 170 trillion. Government assets exceed 60 trillion. Our GDP is still the envy of the world, even though our debt is creeping up on it now with interest payments. That's why we haven't crashed yet. It doesn't mean we won't have serious problems down the road, and we will. Balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Okay, that's one thing to do, and elect conservatives that are fiscally responsible. That's what we have to do. Who we elect matters. Who we elect matters. Grow our economy, sustain 3 to 5% for a decade. China did this. They ran their economy growing, in almost double digits every year for decades. They're not doing it now, but we can grow, sustain 3 to 5%. That'll bring in much more revenue because when you expand economic activity, you have more revenue flowing to your treasury. Ronald Reagan cut taxes. We doubled revenue to the federal government in the 1980s. John Kennedy was a supply sider. When Donald Trump and George Bush cut taxes, we experienced record levels of revenue. We do not have a lack of revenue problem in this country. We have a spending problem. So we elect people that understand what the problem is. We get a balanced budget amendment to the states. We grow our economy, sustain with pro-growth principles, and all can end well.
All right, great question. Say your name, where you're from, and the question begins.
Yes, the name is Jeff Grant, and I'm from Montgomery Township, New Jersey. A lot of friends here, so it's good to be here and see some of those old friends. My question has to do with faith and its role in the campaign along the way, and certainly to key off of Kathy's question, keeping your head straight and moral, once you're in the position of being U.S. Senator. And before you answer it, I just wanted to note that J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance, published his book, Communion, Finding My Way Back to Faith, last month. Donald Trump, mentioned God after he was almost assassinated in Butler. And the concept of faith has an underlying current of morality, and there's a lot of that that's missing in politics today, and actually throughout our society. So the question, again, is, how do you feel the concept of faith plays into your campaign and helping the campaign come to a successful conclusion?
Wonderful question.
Yes.
I do not leave the house without my Virgin Mary prayer card from my mother with Psalm 91 in the back. I do not leave. This is my guide in this world. I'm a Catholic, and it's central to my life. I love being Catholic. We get to go to fairs and play bingo. And I'm St. Mary's parishioner of Burlington County. I had to stop at my parish to speak to our pastor a couple of years ago, and it was a Sunday afternoon. And I had coordinated with him that I was going to stop at the rectory, the office, and where the priests live on our church. And I knocked on the door, and Father Joe answered, and he had a glass of scotch in his hand. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm watching the game." I said, "Well, I could be a priest. I can drink scotch and watch a football game too." It's central to my life and to my campaign, and I wear it on my sleeve. And if it bothers people, the only thing I would politely say is you will be voting for someone else. Okay? Freedom of religion does not mean freedom from religion.
Yes, that's right.
It is essential to my life. I tell people all the time, I'm Catholic. I'm a pro-life Catholic. I believe life begins at conception. I was always taught that. And as a former fetus, I buy that argument. I just get another way, right? But I try to work and build with people. I don't impose my Catholicism on anyone. I let people know who I am so they can judge me as a voter as they should, and whether or not they think I'm a crazy lunatic. Now, if I get to Washington, okay, I'm going to make some noise as a Catholic because I'm blood-boiling angry that during the Biden administration, the Department of Justice took it upon themselves to try to recruit Catholics out of churches to spy on other Catholics. Yeah, did we know, how many people did not know that? Okay, that's a true story, I'm not making it up. Our federal government was that abusive under Joe Biden. Department of Justice, FBI, working to recruit Catholic parishioners out of church to spy on other Catholics, because of course, pro-life Catholics are the domestic terrorists that we need to worry about, right? That's a true story. That's abhorrent. That's not America. It's sickening and revolting to everything this country stands for. The first thing is what? Religious freedom. And that's, so it's near and dear to my heart, and it's central to my campaign and my being. Always will be.
All right, very well, very good. Question here, we got another question coming up. Sir, your name, where you're from, and what's the question again?
Hi, my name is Anjan Karnati. I am from Monroe Township. So I'm very happy to be here and participate in this meeting, campaign meeting. Justin, wish you the best. The first question is in the state level, second is in a federal level, third is international. 3 questions. So local level, especially state level, we are really, what are the most high level points to take to the voters to spin, basically convert votes to ours, Republican? What are the main topics which you want to promote to inspire the voters, to get involved into the elections, and even though Republicans really not participating 100% to get a vote, and unaffiliated voters, you know that how much percentage turnout, and Democrats, you know, very weak Democrats, how can you do all these 3 to convert into Republicans and get participate in more election count? Because ultimately winning is the important for everybody who are here. Without winning, we cannot contribute anything. Of course, we are very hardworking people and taxpayers legally, everything, everybody is doing here. And also a lot of friends here who are working very hard to make it strong, our Republican Party locally, state level. So what your points are really to convert voters into Republican? What is your motivation?
I'm John, thank you. And having run around the state for the past couple of years, I know how active you've been here in Middlesex County, so thank you for your civic engagement. I mean, you do a lot for our party, and we are privileged to have you. Okay, what can we do? Comes up often, this question. All right, number 1 is connecting and resonating with the voter. What does that mean? Okay, what are they worried about today? Most voters will tell you more than anything, affordability and parental rights. Okay, and we are on the right side of history and of those issues. It's being on offense, winning the battle of messaging and communication. I have my Senate pledge. We can easily distinguish what Corey stands for, what I stand for. Parental rights to me are the civil rights issues of our time. The Democrats are waging a war on parental rights. We want a secure border because we value legal immigration, we value citizenship and declining crime rates. Corey wants an open border. Corey couldn't be bothered with a 9% inflation rate or an 8% set of interest rates. Okay, declining wages. Okay, he's just simply out of touch. We talk about affordability because we're giving the middle class right now rising wages. If you've got an IRA or 401, how you doing in the stock market? You're doing pretty good. We have record level highs. Okay, we have increased energy production, which means we're gainfully employing our middle class. We are the party of affordability. We have to make sure that we're not going to lose that message or any other messaging. It's about communication. Democrats are losing and hemorrhaging voters, I've said I think twice tonight, by the millions. But that doesn't mean they vote Republican. We do need to inspire people and connect with them. It's a lot of hard work. It's ground game. It's knocking on doors. It's electioneering. It's having the message. It's winning the battle of communication. It's resonating with them, having candidates that can identify with people and sing. So we will do that at the federal level. At the state level, I'm glad you asked that, because even though I'm seeking a seat in Washington, I think right now in New Jersey, the Republican Party only has one card to play. If we want to revitalize ourselves at the state level, okay? And I would hope that anyone here that's seeking assembly seats in 2027 next year, state senate, and whoever we run for governor in 2029, I think the Republican Party has one card to play at the state level. We need to, as a party, from top to bottom, adopt the following position. You put Republicans in charge, you give us the governor's office, you give us the majority state senate and state assembly, and we're going to abolish property taxes and fund education out of the $60 billion a year budget in Trenton. That's the only thing we can do that would revitalize our party, in my opinion. To structurally change structurally change how we fund public education by prioritizing it. You got $60 billion in the budget in New Jersey in 2001 was $20 billion. Now it's like it's over 60 billion. Has anyone seen any of that $40 billion increase? I didn't get any. Did you? I didn't get any. Didn't get any. It's crazy because you're not only funding the $60 billion a year Trenton budget, you're then paying anywhere from $4,000 to $30,000 a year in property taxes to fund your school system. Folks, enough is enough. But I think the only thing, see, the Republican Party, I think we've been misfiring at the state level. If we simply say, well, we're going to tweak the school formula, we're going to reduce school formula, we're going to, all you're telling people there, John, is that we put us in charge of the same system that's now failing you. That doesn't excite anyone. They sit home. If we say, you know what, you got a $60 billion a year budget in Trenton, why don't we prioritize funding your local school board with that money? Okay, we'll abolish property taxes, prioritize education funding, and then the Trenton class can fight over the remaining 10 or 20 or 30 billion that's left. That should be enough for them, really. But can you imagine your life if we're the party that says, we're going to abolish property taxes? How would that change your life? Well, that's the question. Would it structurally change your life economically? Could you now retire here, stay here, buy a home here, start a family here, live debt-free here? The answer is yes. But we need, as a party, to adopt this. We need leadership, candidates, the party, not just a voice in the wing saying, no, that's a good idea. Let's take a look at it. Let's do it. But I think that's the only thing the Republican Party do to really shake up state politics. Trenton has been run by Democrats for the last 25 straight uninterrupted years, and most of those years they've had a Democrat governor. And not the blue-collar Democrats that we're familiar with from World War II. We get the Mikey Sherrills of the world that think a sanctuary city is great and that parents should be kept in the dark about LGBTQ issues for their children in public school. Okay, we're way off track here, right? But that is what I think we can do at the state level, and I hope the party can pick up on that, because then people will look at us and say, well, that's the real fighters for property tax, not just property tax reform or increasing the anchor payment. We're going to abolish property taxes. What would your life be like if the last 5 years of your life you didn't have to pay property taxes? The last 10 years? How about a working adult life in New Jersey without paying property taxes? You'd be debt-free, wouldn't have a mortgage, you could retire here and stay here. We wouldn't have the flight that we have out of the state from businesses and citizens. So at the state level, I think we really need to get aggressive and come up with this big, bright horizon, a new idea, and that's the one I see, and I hope that somebody can pick that up. I'm not running for governor in 2029, so it's got to be somebody else.
All right, well done there. Please, name, where you're from, and
Thank you. Cindy Glentham, Gloucester County.
I know you.
Yes. So you touched on a few things that are very interesting and near and dear to my heart. Wondering about the New Jersey right to life and your position there, what they feel, what they want to do as far as endorsing you. Are they endorsing you? And you know, the reason I'm saying near and dear to my heart is because New Jersey is a sanctuary state, and it's also the abortion capital of the United States right now. So isn't that great? Thank you.
Well, you're right. Thank you for that question. And this is an issue, folks, that, and I preach this all the time, we cannot shy away from. Now, I know announcing myself as a pro-life Reagan Republican is not going to excite everybody. Okay, but you know what? Neither is not standing for anything. Okay, I believe in exceptions. Okay, to abortion, to accept for the life of the mother, and for rape and incest. And I think they're good bridge builders. It's a way we can be reasonable and promote a culture of life and pro-life policies. I am honored and privileged to have the endorsement of not just New Jersey right to life, but national right to life. When I ran for this seat in 2024, I was the only candidate running for U.S. Senate that had a recommendation from New Jersey right to life. Did Maria leave? Or if she left? Maria Tacey was here tonight, the president of New Jersey Right to Life. I think she left. Wonderful human being. But in 2024, people would ask me, but having that recommendation from New Jersey Right to Life, does that hurt you politically? And I said, no. Being pro-life does not hurt you politically, even in a blue state. What hurts you politically is being pro-life and letting your opponent define you on the issue. That is what's damaging politically. And no one will be defining me except me. I will be aggressive on this issue. We're not cowering in the corner over it. We're gonna take the fight to Mr. Booker, and we're gonna talk about Planned Parenthood. We're gonna talk about their history of wanting to exterminate black people. And we're gonna talk about the fact that in 2019 statistics in New York City, more black babies were aborted than born. Now, if he thinks that's a good thing, then fine, take your case to the voter. Be happy to have you do that. Even in deep blue New Jersey, the later term abortion loses public support. Okay, we should not, your taxpaying dollars fund abortion in this state through Medicaid if you were not aware. Right? We also need to be the party that's pro-life and helps women. We don't want to just say, hey, we're pro-life and that's our conceptual framework. We want to support pregnancy crisis centers, okay, and I do that often. There's a number of them, good counsel as a Catholic, okay, LifeNet, options for her. There's a number of them that we do and help them because we want to help women that need help. A lot of abortions are made for economic reasons, so we can help them and we should help them. But it's an issue we don't have to fear. And that's what I say, that we're going to have this new day in New Jersey politics with a new generation of Americans serving in Washington. And we're only going to get there, folks, if we elect new people that stand for principles, okay? Abortion, this is a tough issue, no matter how you look at it. And believe me, I know not everyone's going to like me being pro-life. I can have exceptions for the life of the mother and rape and incest. I think they're good bridge builders. It takes a lot of the edge off because the left says, oh, you're pro-life. You would let a woman bleed to death. You would force a woman who was raped to have. No, we would not do that. Okay, most, if not all of every state that now legislates on the matter because of the Oberfeld decision, okay, and Dobbs, right? They have exceptions for this. And so we have to get that we are much more reasonable. As a party, we have to debate. We have pro-choice candidates that I voted for. We have pro-life candidates. We have the debate. Try having the abortion debate in the Democrat Party today. How far does the pro-life person get? Do they have any pro-life Democrats today? Yes, there are. But I'm saying in the party hierarchy structure, you can't run for office in the Democrat primary today as a pro-life candidate. Are you kidding me? It's unheard of because they've driven the pro-life Democrats, and there are a lot, out of the party. They're not welcome. They don't want to have the debate. They don't want to have the debate. I had this conversation with a woman before, and I asked her, I said, she was giving me the third degree. I'm a man. I don't have a, so I didn't say anything. She was classless. And I said, well, Miss, I presume you're pro-choice. She said, yes. I said, all right, you're pro-choice. I said, are the choices that the woman carries the child to term and they give birth? She said, that's one. I said, and the other one is she can terminate the pregnancy. She said, yes, that's her right. I said, okay. I said, well, then why would you be angry with me for choosing one of the choices? And guess what? At that point, they're done talking to you, right? That's normally what happens. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like I said, I believe life begins at conception. I'm a former fetus. I find that argument. Science also bears that out. Science also bears that out. But my point is, Donald Trump came here one time in May of 2024. The following November, without coming back, with no campaign dollars spent, he took almost 2 million votes out of New Jersey as the president that overturned Roe v. Wade with the Supreme Court picks as a pro-life candidate. And he took almost 2 million votes out of New Jersey, the most a Republican presidential candidate has ever taken out of New Jersey in the history of our country. So being pro-life is not something we should cower from. It does not hurt us politically, only if we allow our opponents to define us on it. And we can flip the script easily on today's debate.
All right, well done. Your name, where you're from, and the question.
My name is Zhu Yan Wang. I'm from South Brunswick. My question, so have you heard about vaccine injury? Vaccine injury. Yeah.
Okay, as I say with parental rights, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you know, in 1986, the vaccine injury law passed. That law gave the pharmaceutical companies full immunity from any responsibility. So after that, kids take more and more vaccine, and now our children are more and more unhealthy. They have all kinds of chronic disease, from allergy to autism and ADHD, etc. It has all kinds of problems. Our children are more and more unhealthy. So if the vaccines are safe and effective, and what the doctors and the authorities tell us, why do the pharmaceutical companies need the immunity to protect them? This is against the common sense. So I want to know, as a senator, if you go to DC, what are you going to do about this?
When I speak about parental rights being the civil rights issue over time, I always follow that and say with medical freedom is also the civil rights issue of our time along because they kind of overlap. I'm not really comfortable with large sections of industry having a broad blanket immunity. Okay, I'm just not comfortable with that. As an attorney, I don't like to see lawsuits run industry out of the country. I don't like to see businesses hurt, especially small businesses that, that curtails not just a lot of big corporations, employ a lot of small businesses to conduct their business. I don't like the idea of the immunity. I think it takes something away from the responsibility aspect that they need. If you look at VAERS and what we're learning now about how the way COVID was handled, it's pretty disturbing. Okay, that we were lied to. Okay, and if you look at the history, okay, of the pharmaceutical industry in this country, they have a long history of civil and criminal issues, downright criminal, and that's true. Now, I want the pharmaceutical industry in this country to be world-class. I want it to be, it's the critical infrastructure that we need on our soil. We don't ever want to be dependent on that from someone overseas, but it has to serve us and work for us, okay? It's a big money game in Washington and state capitals, I think we know that. But our pharmaceutical industry should be designed and should work for the people. Okay, I'm just not good with the blanket immunity. I'm really not. They can have their day in court, and they get an opportunity to defend themselves. Product liability and strict liability is a little technical legally, and I don't really like that either. But the VAERS and the way COVID was handled, I think, is really disgraceful. And it's wonderful to see the number of parental rights groups and moms groups that have sprung up over this issue and are taking it head on. They're educating people. Okay, they're running for school boards. And they're doing the Moms for Liberty group as one, it's parental rights, but it's also medical freedom. And there's a lot of medical freedom groups across the country. I know there's some good ones here in New Jersey, and I hope that I'll be working with them. I support, the idea of, transparency. I like President Trump when he has right to try because and tries to restructure, okay, the way healthcare is delivered in this country. I think that's very needed and important. But I would press a little harder on the pharmaceuticals. Jersey has a lot of pharmaceutical companies here. Okay, but the blanket immunity is not okay. We need transparency. We need transparency. I was just reading an article in the Primus the other day about how the federal government can actually promote a healthier roadmap to getting drugs to market. Okay, there are things that we can do. I think Dr. Bhattacharya, if I said his name right, that President Trump has appointed. Okay, in the way testing is done, the way the bureaucracy interacts with the pharmaceutical industry. And as always, folks, sunlight is our best disinfectant, so we need to see that too. So I want, it's a civil rights issue of our time, medical freedom. I support religious exemptions when it comes to vaccinations, of course. As a Catholic, I do that, absolutely. I don't like mandates, whether it's a vaccine or a mask. I don't like mandates. I don't like mandates. That's one thing I have to So thank you for the question. It's of critical importance, and I want to thank the Trump administration for taking the issue of the health of this country and raising it to a national level, cabinet level awareness. Long overdue. Long overdue.
All right, well said. Sir, your name, where you're from, and what's your question?
Hello, my name is Sudev Datta, better known by my radio name RJ Toy. I'm from South Brunswick. First of all, thank you for giving this chance. As I said, it would be great to, as a person who has a receding hairline, it would be great to see a senator with hair compared to the guy who's there right now. Anyway, I have two questions for you. The first thing is New Jersey. We, I think, do around $13 billion of business from international businesses here. Compared to the national average, which nationally we do around 233, so we just do 5%. I know we are punching way above our weight in terms of the size, but we definitely can do more because there are very, very few countries which actually do business with New Jersey. Those who do a lot, but there are many countries who don't have any representation in America, and New Jersey could be a great place. So my first question is, what are you planning for, for international business to come in here, and what are you doing? And the second thing, as a New Jerseyan, I kind of feel sorry that we are kind of like the poor suburb of New York, We don't have a team, we don't have a pride. We are always identified like, oh yeah, we work in New York, but we live in New Jersey. So whereas I was in Texas before this, there's a lot of pride in being a Texan. pride, a lot of pride of being from Texas. People from California proud of this state. So what are you thinking to, sort of bring that feel-good feeling of being Jersey, I know during COVID we talked about Jersey Strong, but that was about it, just these two questions.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you. Again, we discussed earlier, economic growth, okay, is system of taxation. You have the right system of taxation, which I support, a flat tax, abolishing that 70,000 internal revenue code, that 70,000 page internal revenue code, making your tax system attract capital and entrepreneurship, and your regulatory schematic and structures that create wealth and job creation by not recklessly taxing and spending and suing and regulating businesses out of the state or out of the country. Now, in Washington, you do it for the country, of course. You legislate where we have a tax code that, again, attracts businesses. We reduce the tax burden. We simplify our tax code. We streamline regulatory and permitting wherever we can, like with energy production is a good one, where as a federal representative, we have an opportunity to really fast track and put into place policies that can affect and increase energy production, which is a huge boost for our middle class. In New Jersey, okay, this is going to fall a lot on Trenton. We've had Trenton, and I tell people the problem is not Donald Trump in the White House, it's the Trenton Democrats in our Trenton State House for the last 25 straight years. Until we get a new culture in Trenton that is pro-business and pro-growth and pro-family, pro-common sense, we're going to struggle and have these problems. Why do businesses leave? They can't afford to be here. Our energy costs are too high. I mean, if you want to do something like just regulate intelligently, here's an idea. Look at your brownfields across the state. Okay, we have too many of them across the country too. Our cities, and some cities are not in the condition they should be in. Right? You can redevelop a brownfield. Okay, throw a bunch of solar panels down across your city. Now, some people say, "Well, what's solar?" If you had a quasi-government agency own those panels, let's say you're producing 10 to 20 megawatts of electricity. You hold that out as an incentive. You redevelop the brownfield and you say to GM and Chrysler or a steel plant or a tech company or a manufacturer, come into our city, redevelop the brownfields, locate here, hire people here, take out a few blocks around here and beautify it, and we'll give you the electricity for free. I mean, it's coming from the sun, it's not going to cost us anything. The cost to build these plants is really pennies. You can regulate intelligently, but we don't seem to do that because we're not electing the right people. So again, to distinguish between state and federal, it's who we elect to serve in Trenton, which again, we get a shot at them next year, 27, with state senate and state assembly. What I do as a representative, if I go to Washington as a senator, I will do everything in my power with every ounce of breathable energy I have to incentivize business to come to not only America, but here. But we can't be fighting Trenton Democrats that sit back and don't see a problem with Samsung and Exxon leaving our state. We don't like fossil fuels anyway. Well, what about the middle class people that just lost their jobs? Okay, and they're not really worried about that. They like the idea of California. They're like, well, and then they said, well, we should have universal basic income. Well, if you're driving all the businesses out of the way, who are you going to tax to get the revenue to pay everybody? Who we elect is so important. And we need pro-growth, pro-capitalist. The left is doing nothing but bashing capitalism and free markets and free enterprise and private property. And so we have an opportunity to counter that with what really made this country great and the envy of the world, a free market capitalist system. And that's what we need to watch.
All right, well said. Well said. This lovely young lady has a question. Your name, where you're from, and what's your question for Justin?
Jennifer Webb from South Brunswick. I actually have quite a few. You can answer what you want, but I'm going to tell you what I have issues with. Okay. So the AI centers, I know you said the power plants or whatever, that the governor had shut them down. Can we get them back up? Like, because we're buying our energy from other places. I don't understand why that can't be done. Also, the AI centers take a lot of electric. So if we're already having problems with our electric, which my bill last year, and I live on a little Kendall Park Ranch, $970 for like less than 1,500 square feet. I'm on Social Security. So I got to get a job for my electric bill. I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay, Medicare fraud, the SNAP cards, are we doing anything to check into that? Because I've never gotten any of that stuff. I've worked 5 jobs at a time, and I see all these, all these videos where all these people are getting thousands of dollars. checking in on them. Is that gonna be a thing that you're gonna do? I love you, by the way. You are so awesome. So this is not to like trip you up or anything. I think you're the best candidate we've had in a really long time. I mean, I don't even know, you're just like something. Okay, I have quite a few friends in homeschool, and there's been issues about mandates for them and how they have to, and again, I haven't looked into this totally, but as far as vaccines, this is not the reason you homeschool, so you can do it on your own. So what can we do about that? Because I think that's horrendous. That's abhorrent. The school system's not obeying federal law with all this transgender stuff, the girls and the boys and girls. I know South Brunswick still does it, and when we were told they could change everything, I'm from the school system, they did it, because Biden said do it. Now Trump says, and nobody's changing anything. I don't understand. I said the electric prices, closing the cap on the school budget, because something happened with that where now they're allowed to do more. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong with that, but like I know my taxes went up a whole lot, and not to mention the prices on electric. So is there a cap going to be put on that? Especially since I don't have any kids in school. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you. All right,
Throw one or two more in there, go ahead. All right, let's go back to the issue on energy. Why can't we get the power plants we shut down? That's true. It's 2017 or 2018, New Jersey, somebody in Trenton who had the great idea we should shut down fossil fuel fired electricity production plants, these assets. We've shut down, I think, 6 or 7. The reason some of them can't be brought back online is because look at Beasley Point going down the Jersey Shore. You drive over the bridge, you see this big coal burning plant. Okay, Beasley Point, it's been demolished, literally razed to the ground. It's not there anymore. They didn't just shut it down and it's not there anymore. So to replace that, you have to build a new one. And can you imagine that process? You got to go before the BPU, environmental impact studies. Would probably take you a decade to do that. Okay, when we shut down a nuclear power plant, you can't just flip the switch, turn it back on. Okay, that's some of the issue. We just have not had good energy policy in the state of New Jersey. So again, the solution is who we elect. I mean, we can make policy. Look at the policy, the Trump administration, that brings investment into our country and reduces taxes and regulatory certainty. And it's great, but Toyota is coming out of Mexico and coming to the US. Okay, but you notice they're not coming to New Jersey.
No, Texas.
They're going to Texas. Okay, they will not come to New Jersey because it's just a simple economic decision they're making. Why would they come here? First of all, it would take them forever to build anything. It would. I mean, you impact studies and assessments, and then when you get people, it would be a mess. But who we elect matters, and especially at the state level. As far as the caps on budgeting municipal, that's definitely a state and local matter. It's nothing that we'd really be able to do federal. Although let me say that I advocate for the abolishment of the Federal Department of Education, and their $100 billion a year budget should be sent directly back to each school board across America. It would be the largest cash infusion into public school system in the history of our country, and it would provide you property tax relief. But again, it's who we elect is making these decisions. And the turnouts in our elections are dangerously low, and the apathy is dangerously high. Okay, next year, when we elect state senate and state assembly, what's our turnout going to be? 20%, maybe 25%. So we are at a point now in our country's history, and this is very sad, with every election that we hold at any level of government, with the exception of the president and a couple states governor's races, we have substantially more people sitting home than voting, and that is a problem. So again, but the opportunity's there to get these people involved and inspired with our ideas. It's just hard work and a little bit of patience. The other questions I think you had as far as electric, yeah, again, that's definitely a state issue. Okay. A huge issue right now that just kind of volcanically exploded on our political landscape is the issue of fraud. Okay. It is devastatingly bad. It is horrendous, and we should be angry. We send $5 trillion a year to the federal government, and a lot of it is being stolen. It's theft. It's not just a government agency operating inefficiently like they all do. It's theft. Somebody's stealing it. They're thieves. It's the abuse, the waste, and the fraud. That money should be collected and put right back into the systems that it was meant to help. Okay, a closed loop. It is so bad. It's not just $9 billion in Minnesota. Okay, there's fraud everywhere. I mean, I've read story after story after story. Thankfully, people are being held accountable and prosecuted. Okay, not enough. We've got a long way to go because the fraud, the waste, the theft, and the criminality in America's social safety net and healthcare programs is running into the tens, if not hundreds, of billions of dollars every year. How do we pay for healthcare? That's how we do it. How do we pay for mental health care services? That's how we do it. How do we help our veterans? The money's there. Okay, the Trump administration has elevated this to cabinet level, putting the vice president in charge, not just Doge, which was a great idea. Doge saved a lot of money, and it should be codified, and we have to revamp our federal government, how we operate. This is insanely maddening that this is going on, and I would ask my opponent on a debate stage, you know, where's the political class? When all this fraud is happening, when all this money is being stolen, you're not aware of it, you ignore it, or you benefit from it. That's a political class that is distant from we the people, dysfunctional and corrupt at its core. And my opponent is part of that. He's been in Washington over 13 years, and he hasn't found any of this fraud. I mean, this is very, very bad. Most think tanks in Washington will tell you, in Medicare alone, fraud will range every year at least $60 billion. At least every year in Medicare. Okay, that money should stop the bleeding, claw back what you can, and you keep it right back in Medicare to keep that promise to American seniors. Fraud is a huge issue, and it's another winning issue for Republicans. Okay, and we need to be on offense, open up the sunlight's the best disinfectant. I'll be talking about fraud a lot this campaign, trust me on that.
All right, folks, again, everyone at home, again, welcome to tonight's Town Hall here in Middlesex County. My name is Fernando Uribe, your host and moderator tonight for Republican Senate candidate Justin Murphy here running. Again, if you're interested in donating at home, go to jerseyjustinforsenate.org. You can donate there. The QR code is available. Folks, we'll be taking a couple more questions. It's about 8:15 in the evening, so we'll be wrapping up shortly. We'll let you enjoy your weekend a little bit here. Some nice weather here, obviously, and we'll be taking some more questions in a moment here. But once again, please visit jerseyjustinforsenate.org. If you're looking to get involved, donate, or volunteer your time for Justin Murphy for the United States Senate. So we have we'll take a couple more questions here as we'll be wrapping up shortly, I think. And for everyone at home, again, please like, comment, and share tonight's episode on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. Folks, helps fuel this independent media here with Jersey First TV. We've got here, gentleman here, young lady up there, and I know we have another question here. Sir, your name, where you're from, and what's your question for Mr. Murphy?
Yeah, my name is Dave Jocelyn. I'm from Plainsboro. I'm a member of this American Legion, and I have been a part of multiple campaigns. I've watched some good, and I've watched some really terrible. I know that anytime you're dealing with the federal government or state government, Democrats get ahead because they plan budgets 5 years out. Once things are set in stone, it's kind of hard to change anything. So right now, we're like 5 years behind. Okay, with Senator Booker, he was in the State House when I was a school board member, and I watched Senator Cody and Senator Lautenberg, how they were grooming him for the position. He changes so often, you don't really know where he's coming from. My question to you is, have you studied him and what he is got planned 5 years from now and back, and to counter the Democrats' lawyers, the Democrats' corruption? How is it that you can convince the voters that you are going to do what you say you're going to do and counter Senator Booker? I know he's got political clout. He's got the money, okay? I know this inside and out because I spent a year in Trenton as a school board volunteer, and I learned what I learned in Trenton And I could walk in Trenton right now and function no problem, just like I could do in DC. I know what I have studied from military intelligence. I know what I studied with a lot of things medically and everything over the last couple of decades. Like to know what, if any, you got a plan to counter all the corruption with Senator Booker.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for your service to our country, Army veteran. I have dedicated my campaign to the men and women of our armed forces. I do have to say, as a Navy guy, go Navy, beat Army. I know
That's true today.
yes. Army. It is, I'm finding it very easy to distinguish myself from my opponent. Okay, we didn't hear from him when inflation was at 40-year high 9%, interest rates at 8%, open border, declining wages, $5 gallon gas. We didn't hear from Cory Booker. And this November, he hears from all of us. I want a secure border because I value citizenship and legal immigration. He wants an open border. He wants policies to suppress energy production, which would be inflationary. I want policies that promote energy production. Okay, he's pro-choice, I'm pro-life. He wants to keep in place the existing tax code and the Internal Revenue Code and the existing rates. I don't. I want to abolish it and have a simple flat tax and get rid of the Internal Revenue Code. There's a number of things where I support school choice for parents. He does not. His party's waging war on parental rights. I embrace parental rights as the civil rights issues of our time. It's easy to draw the distinction. We need people to tune in and take note of what we're doing. It's easy to paint Cory as a member of a dysfunctional, distant, corrupt political class because he is. Okay? He announced publicly he is going to campaign across the country for the midterms. I'm campaigning in all 21 New Jersey counties. Now, why would he do that? He doesn't feel threatened. Okay? He probably wants, where would he want to be in 5 years? I think he wants to be sitting in the White House. No thank you to that. No thank you to that. Well, whoever we get from that side is going to be horrible. But what we do is we distinguish not only between ourselves as candidates, but what the Republican Party, what our vision, the vision that we're offering is so diametrically antithetical as opposed to what the Democrats are offering. We have as our core parental rights, medical freedom, secure border, energy growth, production, pro-growth policies, and home ownership. And Cory doesn't. Their party is waging war on parental rights. They want to open that border back up again. They don't value citizenship. Okay, there's a world of difference between not only us, but between our parties. So we need to put that vision forward. And I will be reminding people that the only thing Cory Booker will be running on is that he hates Donald Trump. He hates Donald Trump. We know. You try to impeach him twice and you get power back, he'll do it for a third time. Not to mention somebody's trying to kill him. Seems like every week. They hate Donald Trump. That's no vision for the country. His hate for Donald Trump is no vision that our American family can believe in and build and work for together. And that will be made very abundantly clear. Not just the distinction between us and my very transparent policy positions as a regular Republican, but also what each party has become. That party is an off-the-train rail wreck. They are not, I mean, they are so far from their roots of JFK and FDR. They no longer exist, and the American people know that, but they need to know a little bit more about the Republican Party and what we believe in and what we stand for and how our policies can benefit them. So there's a lot of ammunition here, to use the cliche, okay? We absolutely have an easy time distinguishing ourselves from Cory Booker. The question is, I hope enough New Jerseyans are willing to listen and then get out and vote on it. This apathy is just too high, frankly.
All right, well said. Justin, we have an online question for the first time tonight here. Will Justin attend the March for Life on October the 8th in Trenton? Yeah. Okay. Seems easy enough, right? Okay.
Did Marie ask that?
What's that?
Did Marie say something?
Not sure. It's an online question. So we have another question here, young lady here. Your name, where you're from, and what's your question for Justin?
My name is Rose. I'm from East Brunswick, New Jersey. And my question is, I live in East Brunswick. There's a lot of affordable housing that's not affordable that is being constructed all over. And it's not just in East Brunswick, it's many different towns. And the thing is, they don't think about the schools, how it's gonna affect the overpopulation. And because of this, I was thinking on a federal level, if you could make some kind of mandate, if you would make a mandate about before anybody wants to do all this crazy construction, to perhaps do the crazy construction in the schools first, and then afterward build, you know what I mean? So basically, to do this, and then my second part of my question is about the people that don't send their children to public school. If there could be some kind of like reimbursement, like from homeschooling, Catholic school, charter school, and I know that it comes out of our property taxes. And what I'm trying to do with the property taxes thing is saying if after a certain age, if maybe like, I don't know, cap it off at 65 and no more property tax at all, or, you know, I'm just trying to think something, like what would you do? And not just, I don't mean it on a state level, I mean it like on a federal level for all states.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the issue here is affordability on the second part of your question. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the decisions that are going to be made that would rectify these problems are state level. Okay, as a federal representative, you know, we can't just barge into a local town and say, you're gonna do this with your zoning laws now because we don't like it. Okay, that's taking away home rule, and we generally don't like that. We want the problem to be dealt with locally. So that's an issue. The bigger thing is, again, we get a crack at these people next year in 2027 of who your state senate and state assembly are. That's where the meat of this would come from. What can we do federally? Again, I mean, as far as a mandate, I don't know if a mandate would enjoy a lot of support. I've expressed the sentiment that data centers, for example, should be built on a redeveloped brownfield, or where possible, underground, so we don't have to look at them. They do that in Europe in some cases where it's feasible. That's what we can do. But again, it's a lot of this is local and state. And so who we elect is important. We get these dangerously low turnouts of 20 to 25 or 28%. So the opportunity is there for us to nominate good people and win these elections if we're willing to put the work in. What can you take away from the local? Even in Trenton, generally, no matter who's in charge, doesn't want to take too much away from the local. Okay, I was a deputy mayor of my hometown. I sat on the zoning board. I've done land use law. You know, people generally like home rule. They don't want to be told to do this or that. Now, the problem is a lot of them, they don't have a say. The state comes in and says, affordable housing, you're going to build this here, whether you like it or not. And as you mentioned, what about the infrastructure? What about the schools? What about the increased traffic? Those are issues that should actually come into play when you require feasibility studies and impact studies that would stop a lot of this. Look, we don't have the infrastructure, okay? Like with a data center can't just go anywhere. It's going to suck so much juice off your infrastructure, what we call EDC, or electric distribution company, your utility company, pole lines, wires, switch gears, and transformers. They all have to be up to speed to be able to handle that increased load and provide what they need. So a lot of things in place would probably stop a lot of overdevelopment. Okay, you can't just shove these things in here. But you see affordable housing going up in probably too many places. There does need to be better planning. But again, who's doing the planning? That's the problem. Who we elect matters. And we need people that understand open space is valuable and you can regulate intelligently, okay, and develop. I say we should be homesteading urban areas. What that means is like what we did in the late 1800s. You go out west, you take a piece of land, you control it, you take control of it, ownership of it, you put it to productive use, and it's yours. We're going to give it to you. We can do the same in our urban areas for residential home ownership, okay, and better planning for these other issues with schools and affordable housing. But who we elect matters at the state and local level. Very important.
Great question. Quick housekeeping, just to remind everyone, folks, you can donate to the campaign there in the box right there in the front table. If you have any donation, any dollars available, please consider donating to Justin. There's a QR code there by the sign-in sheet. If you did not sign in tonight, please, it just takes a few seconds when you walk out sign in, get on the mailing list, be informed about Justin Murphy's campaign for United States Senate. And don't forget also, you can donate online by going to jerseyjustinforsenate.org. Okay, we'll be wrapping up shortly here, and we have a question. Sir, your name, where you're from, and what's your question for Mr. Murphy?
Hello, my name is Matthew Hutnick. I'm from over in South Brunswick, right across Route 1 here. Two questions. One, can anything be done about the federal judges and the district judges that keep releasing criminals over and over again? Similar to Arena's bill in North Carolina, or Arena's law that they were trying to get through. I don't remember if they got it through in North Carolina after the girl was killed on the bus or the train. That allows us to, file lawsuits against the judges who keep releasing the criminals onto the streets. And then, can anything be done about omnibus bills? The bills that are just, conglomerations of all kinds of random issues. Can we get back to single issue bills?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Two very good questions. As an attorney, and I mentioned earlier, I authored a book on judicial activism because it's a danger, an existential threat to our structure of government. What can you do with judges like this? The first thing is judges can be impeached. Judges can be impeached. As a matter of wholesale, it's not a good idea. You don't want to inject that type of instability in the judicial branch of government. But if you have a judge, okay, that's ignoring the law, judges don't get to make their own law. Some think they do, they don't. They have to enforce the law as it's written by the legislature. They don't, this is judicial activism. They start rewriting things, pulling things out of the statute they disagree with, inserting things that were never there or intended to be there. If they are in violation of that, if they are misinterpreting laws that egregiously, they should be impeached. Now, what does that take? It takes a legislative branch of government with the political will to do it. That's a big hurdle. That's a huge step. But that is what the solution would be. Not to mention, win elections. Because when you win elections, you're controlling who's appointed to serve on our bench. Federal, serving, of course, with the President of the United States, appointing our federal judiciary and our Supreme Court members. So who we elect matters. And if the judge is that egregiously out of step with a piece of law, legislation, and consistently, they should be impeached. They can be removed. They can be, good behavior is the standard. Up there and abusing that's an abuse of the bench as much of an abuse of your office if you're elected to a legislative position. So I think that is one solution. And again, win elections, then you can control who's up there and for how long to appoint them. The other thing we could do with the judiciary, and I have this in my book, not at the federal level, but for example, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they elect their judges. They elect their judges. So one of the reforms that we could probably do is elect a judge, retention election, okay? Meaning that at some point during their judicial career, they have to be presented to the voter to be returned to the bench. And if they're doing things like this, you would hope that it's not the case. Wisconsin, they elect judges. Pennsylvania, they elect judges. That could also be a big solution. Because right now they're insulated from we the people, for the most part. And there was a design for that. The design by our founders was that we wanted the judiciary to be free from political influence and political whim. And that's wonderful as a design, but we can see there's a downside to that also. So there are things that we can do.
Great question. We have a gentleman here in the front who's been waiting for a little bit. Sir, your name, where you're from, and your question for the candidate.
Hi, Paul Marciniak, Monmouth Junction, South Brunswick. First of all, kudos to you. You've spot on everything, and for me, that's a compliment because I could be a very difficult person. And if my kids were here, they would be passing out. But anyway, we need to get votes for you. And that's obviously the main thing. And I want to touch on 3 different areas that perhaps have a discussion and get your input from it. You mentioned one of them, that people aren't voting. Okay, that's a fact. And there's a lot of votes out there, and we have to get those people out there to vote. That's number one. Number 2 is, I find out that there's a lot of uninformed voters. And they come from the left. And I say that because these issues, they're not even partisan issues. It's common sense. I mean, Iran had a nuclear bomb, and people just go about their day. Some of them don't even know what's going on. I mean, it's bad. people are uninformed. The immigration issue, okay? During the Biden years, from murder, assault, burglary, rape, DWI, there's statistics, it's called criminal alien statistics. The amount of increase in those crimes, murder was up 1,300%. And these are just convictions. These aren't people that are still in jails and waiting to go to court. It was over 200. During the Trump administration, I think it was 11, the first time. The affordability issue. There's not an affordability issue. That, if there was, it was created by the Democrats. Inflation is down to 2.5%. During Biden, it was 5.25%. It's double. These are no-brainer issues, and people need to be informed about. And it's just common sense. It's so frustrating. And the third area is in the United States and in Jersey, there are a lot of welfare programs. And those people are tied in, that receive these programs are tied in to the Democrats. And it's so hard to break that mold. And a lot of money, these programs since the 70s are over 400% more, and that's including inflation. And these people, sorry to say, they're going to vote Democrat. So I know it's a mouthful, but my question to you is those three areas are where you can get votes. How would you go about doing that?
Good question.
Thank you for that. Okay, there's a couple points. Number one is the substance of our message. Aggressively conveying it and winning the battle of messaging and communication. And then there's also what I call the blue collar side of this, the electioneering. How are we getting to the neighborhoods and knocking on doors? Are we doing enough advertising? Are we promoting enough through our county organizations? Do we have enough young Republicans walking neighborhoods? A lot of this election coming up is base to base. It's a midterm election. It's going to be electioneering. Yes, message, content, substance, and communication, we all have to master and win. But it's really going to be, how many people are sitting home? How many people in your church are going to be sitting home not voting? How many people in your family? Okay, how many people in your neighborhood and block? I mean, are we that organized at the ground level to get these people out that generally would agree with us? I think one of the things we have to do this campaign, okay, I discussed this as a matter of strategy, is that when you talk about getting Republicans out to vote, okay, we have what we call 4x4s, 3x4s, 2x4s, and 1x4. What that means is in the last 4 elections, did you vote on all 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, or 1 of them? The 1s and the 2s are who we have to focus on, because that's the intermittent Republican voter that we can't have sit home this November. If the 1s and the 2s sit home by the hundreds of thousands, okay, we're not going to win. We have to have an unbelievably strong Republican show at the polls this November, and then our messaging and hard work and communication and cultivation from the ground up get into the unaffiliated and undeclareds, along with Rich DeBoer going into the inner cities for us and helping us get some disaffected Democrats. So you do it a number of different ways. It's message, content, and then the hard work, it's the ground game. It really is about electioneering. What does that mean? It means, can you get your people out to vote? Can you get your people out to vote? Are you getting paper ballots and early voting? Okay, can you get the 1s and 2s out? There's a very large block of voters in this state that are Trump Republican voters, but they're not necessarily can be counted on to be Republican midterm voters. If we can bridge that gap and get them out, we're going to do much better this November. So it's the messaging, affordability, parental rights, secure border, energy production, rising wages, lower inflation. As you mentioned, low inflation, lower interest rates. We're doing all the right things. We just have to make sure we win the battle of communication on that, and then take the electioneering from there.
All right, one last question here. It's 8:45. We want to start wrapping up here, okay? So appreciate it. Last question of the night goes to your name, sir, where are you from, and what's your question?
Yeah, my name is Dennis Wu from East Brunswick. Best wishes for your campaign. The governor won, Mickey Sherry had 500,000 more votes than Phil Murphy. So what you gonna do in your team to prevent it, or even later on challenging the situation?
Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of a mystery to everyone, how she got this huge spike of votes, right? Okay, especially when Jack Ciattarelli added 100 100,000 votes from 21 to 2025, and we're coming off a year where Donald Trump took almost 2 million votes out of New Jersey. All of a sudden, the bottom fell out. Well, where'd all these people come from? You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to take the massive amount of early paper ballots that come in out of predominantly Democrat areas. I'd like to quarantine them, and I'd like to audit them. I don't want to recount them. I want to audit them. I don't want to recount them. It's going to give you the same number. Audit. I want to see if the registration is valid, if they're a U.S. citizen, if they're a convicted felon and can't vote, if they are a resident that has moved, passed away, registered to a P.O. box or a vacant lot or a commercial or business, all of which is illegal. So I would like to do that. Now, how does that happen? Well, we need political will, and we need a party willing to fight. We've got to drag this through the court system because Democrats will not cooperate with us. We just had a lawsuit filed against New Jersey by the RNC and I believe the RNC and the RSC, okay, we got to pry open the voter rolls and look for the frauds. They're fighting us every step of the way. And what was the other lawsuit just recently? I mean, just recently, it was not only to
North Carolina in the ballots from overseas.
overseas, and now you New Jersey non-residents voting in New Jersey.
Right.
All right, so these are going to be a lot of legal fights that we have to have a stomach for. So we need leaders in our party willing to go to the mat on this issue. Voter integrity is important. It enjoys widespread support, and it's another issue we can be on the right side of. Voter integrity. On the right side, that's the Republican. Democrat, look, if you don't want voter integrity, you're cheating. That's just my personal view. That's just my personal view. Why would you oppose voter ID? Why would you oppose proof of American citizenship when you register to vote? Only American citizens should be voting in American elections, period. Whatever that. There's a lot we can do, but we need the political will to do it. And that's our leaders. We have to look at our leaders for that.
Well said there. Ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to Middlesex County. My name is Fernando Uribe, the host and executive producer of Real Talk New Jersey First TV. We're still live there, so if you're at home watching, like, comment, and share on Facebook, X, Instagram, also on LinkedIn and YouTube. Our town hall obviously is coming to a close this evening. We'll want you to enjoy the weekend, some good weather hopefully, and we appreciate you coming out here tonight to support the Republican candidate for the United States Senate, Justin Murphy. Little housekeeping, once again as a reminder, you can donate here anything in the donation box there in the front, and also you can go to the jerseyjustinforsenate.org. Once again, that's jerseyjustinforsenate.org. There's a QR code there that you can donate on. There's a QR code available here in the front. And again, ladies and gentlemen, every dollar helps. Beating Cory Booker is not going to be easy. He's got millions of dollars, but there's millions of better ideas. It starts with Justin Murphy. So once again, I want to thank the candidate for coming out here to Middlesex County. Just as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Murphy will be doing more town halls all throughout New Jersey. For any of you that will be traveling to Burlington County, you'll see me again there as I'm moderating in Burlington County. And as we move up north into my neck of the woods, whether it's Hudson, Bergen, Essex, rest assured, you'll see me up there as well, moderating. So once again, I want to thank you for coming out here on this Friday. Great questions, great energy with a great candidate. Once again, folks, check him out on Facebook, follow him on Instagram and X. Also, once again, visit jerseyjustinforsenate.org. Donate today. Help Justin Murphy get to the United States Senate. As I said before, it's 1972, was a long time ago. And guess what? Last time the Knicks won an NBA championship, we elected a Republican. This year, the Knicks won. Let's send a Republican back to Washington. It starts with Justin Murphy. Thank you, everybody. Thank everybody at home. Get home safely, and we'll see you next time here on Jersey First TV.
Thank you, Fernando. Wonderful job tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Everybody, if you want to squeeze in for a picture with the candidate, let's do that. If we can, let's squeeze in for a picture here.
No jumping lines, come on. The line is right here.
So let's, actually, you know what? Let's get by the wall over there. Let's get by the wall and take a picture there with the candidate, okay? Folks, let's try to squeeze up there by the wall. Thank you.
I know, get all